2. I think we might be way behind on here, but whatever. We're live here at the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal.
That would make me terrible, Troy.
And we're joined with the returning Michael J. Epstein.
Hello.
Sophia Cacciola.
Hello.
The directors of the
Welcome.
Once Future Smash. It's very good to have you guys both here.
Great to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So big premieres coming up. A week. Well, a little over a week. The festival starts, but yeah, August 29th at FrightFest in London.
Yeah, it is true, and we're very excited about it. It's the first time that anybody in the public will see this movie, and we're excited to see how people respond, and we're excited to be able to present the Once and Future Smash with as a double feature. They were kind enough to let us do this double feature event with the restoration of the movie that it's kind of about, End Zone 2. So I think there's Smash Mouth.
Oh, nice.
For anybody who is not familiar with the End Zone series, End Zone is the story of a football player who is beaten up really badly by his teammates because he kind of lost them the big game. And he's so badly beaten that he can no longer eat. He can no longer chew. His jaw is dislocated and such. And it starts out with his mom kind of killing the teammates and blending them up and so on. And then in End Zone 2, the movie that we're showing, it's 15 years after the events of that he was beaten up, and he's kind of come back to get revenge on the cheerleaders. So we're excited to show the restoration of that.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited too. I will be there as well.
We're all getting on planes.
We are.
Yeah, it's my first time
Exciting
on a plane.
times.
Not forever, but first time playing since the pandemic.
We've been on a plane
Yeah.
a bunch of times, but it's
Not to Europe.
scary. It's weird.
Not an 11-hour
Not
flight.
an 11-hour flight.
Oh,
Bob Rose says he used to watch. I'm just looking at the comments. Is that all right?
Yeah, of course.
chime in?
Michael's gonna
I'll
bother
ignore
me.
the ones I don't like anything that Steven Stahl says. But Bob Rose says, I used to watch End Zone 2 as a child, and the VHS we had was covered in ecto-cooler residue, but it still worked, which is
Nice.
great. I mean, I think ecto-cooler and End Zone are a great mix.
Mhm.
They go hand in hand.
Yeah, and the Ecto Cooler just came back, so I think last year they re-released it, so it's fitting.
Yeah, it's the restoration of ecto-cooler. Now we're doing
Exactly.
the restoration.
Nice.
Yeah. So for people who don't know, what is the Once and Future Smash?
You want to talk about it?
Oh
or
my
you-
God, you're doing so good.
I
I think I'll
All-
chime in.
All right.
I like Sophia's hair, by the way. It looks great.
Thank you. I feel like it looks like a helmet today. I don't know what.
Yeah, my hair looks like I look like a carrot. I look like
Well, I always like
a
Michael's
carrot.
hair. Not this
And,
one
Sophia,
without saying.
Pineapple.
I look like a pineapple, and you look
Okay.
like a Muppet. So we're doing well. We're doing well today.
That works.
The Once and
That's a
Future
good
Smash-
combo.
Yeah, that's absolutely. So Once and Future Smash tells the story of the two guys who played Smash Mouth in End Zone 2, William Mouth and Mikey Smash. And it's basically 50 years after the original. We shot this in 2020, which was exactly 50 years after End Zone 2 came out. There was a plan to do a reboot of the series, and there was going to be a big announcement at the Mad Monster Party horror convention regarding the reboot, who was going to play Smash Mouth in the reboot and what was going on. And so those two guys were going to be attending, and we followed them and kind of followed the story of that, their interest in it, and the what happened with the reboot, which I won't spoil till I want people to see the movie and learn the secrets of the End Zone 2 reboot at the end. And we also kind of tell the history of the End Zone series because it's fun to see those two guys, their story, but also people aren't really that familiar with the End Zone series and the context in which those guys' careers or non-careers, as the case may be. I don't know if they're listening now, but non-careers kind of progressed through those 50 years. Yeah, so it's really about the movie End Zone, about the history of the End Zone series, and also the story of those two guys and how kind of their lives have been in the 50 years since they played that sort of iconic role that was lost to time.
Yeah. And you mentioned, not everyone's familiar with the End Zone series. So I just want to put out there, you don't have to be really familiar with those to enjoy the documentary.
I think the documentary catches you up. Yeah.
And we decided, we thought about which one should we play first. This is actually like an interesting question because a lot of people are like, oh, you should show End Zone 2 first so that people are familiar with the movie and then watch the documentary part of it. And so we thought about that. For whatever reason, I love when there's a documentary about a movie, I totally watch the documentary first and then go back and like watch the movie after. I don't know why. I don't mind spoilers that much, so whatever. I don't really care. So I like it that way, because then you watch the movie and you have so much context, and like there's a richness to the experience of viewing it. So we debated about it, but then I think we, at least at FrightFest right now it's playing, the documentary is playing first.
Yeah, I promoted it the wrong way originally.
It's could go either way.
It's debatable. I think there's enough of End Zone 2 in the documentary as well, like that when you need moments.
Right.
There. So, and then when you get to watch it in context later, I think that's like a better experience.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's what I think. People can argue with us later.
Yeah,
I think there's pros and cons to either way. I do agree with Michael. It's if you watch something after you watch like the making of or a documentary about it, it does make you see it as a totally different experience.
Right. The ideal thing would be to show End Zone 2, then show Once in Future Past,
Yes,
then show End Zone 2 again. But I think that's asking a little too much of people at festivals. So we're already grateful that they're going to watch, the two movies.
Yeah. It's just like Breaking Bad. Even though I know you guys probably never watch it, but ideally you'd watch Breaking Bad, then Better Call Saul, then watch Breaking Bad again, and then
that's my plan.
An ongoing loop.
That's a lot of hours.
Yeah.
That's true.
Right. This is a lot.
Big commitment.
Yeah.
Thankfully, these movies are a little shorter. It's not like a whole season
Yeah, we weren't
commitment.
too verbose.
Yeah. In fact, I mean, it's interesting about End Zone 2. One of the main reasons it was lost, and this is covered in I'll give you hints of what's in the documentary for anybody that who's interested in seeing. I won't spoil too much, but one of the reasons why the film was kind of lost is that part of the movie kind of disappeared, and a lot of theaters when they played it in the 70s actually didn't play the last section of the movie, and we go into the reasons why and kind of what happened with that. But so nobody was able to actually find the end section of the film to do a restoration. And I know we have interviews, in the film. We have like Lloyd Kaufman from Trauma, where he talked about how they actually had the rights at one point to release the movie, but then they couldn't find the end anywhere in the materials that they could find, and so they just kind of like gave up on it at that point. But we thought like, it's still like, this is kind of the way that it was presented in the 70s, mostly in theatrical runs, was just the basically the first hour of the movie. And so we were only able to also restore that first hour of the movie. So it's feature length. I think it's a whole story. It is.
It has like a natural ending.
Yeah.
And like we were only able to get the Italian titles.
Right.
So all the titles are Italian, which I think is hilarious. But
right.
But yeah, it was the only source we could find for the
titles. Yeah, because nobody really kept the movie. They couldn't release it. That nobody was like chasing down and paying money to restore materials or anything like that. So
yeah. And you mentioned Lloyd Kaufman. There's a lot of people involved that you guys talked with about End Zone 2 for Smash Mouth. I had the list.
And Neal, I don't know if people, they probably know this if they're listening, but you're a big part of this. Neal is also a producer on this movie, and was played a really pivotal role in getting us access to a lot of the people and things that we needed to make the movie, because especially you were able to get us access to Mad Monster Party, where we needed to be able to film to follow the events that were happening. But you had reached out to a bunch of former guests who were fans of the End Zone series, and we were able to interview them and have them talk about it. Do you want to talk about any of the individuals? Should we just go
real quick too about that, because it started, we recorded most of the bulk of the movie at Mad Monster, and then, as everyone knows, this was, I think it was March, wasn't it?
February 2020.
February, yeah.
And then so everything shut down like 2 weeks later. So the original plan was to go to other conventions and talk to former guests, and so it really put everything on hold. And then after things got a little more normal, you guys were able to connect with a lot of people out in LA.
Yeah. We, there were some people we couldn't do because of geography and other issues like that, but we did, we got about 20 fans of End Zone from the horror world, from the genre world to come talk about their history with it. And so some of them are people we love. I think one of the first ones, well, you had shot a little bit with some of the Texas Chainsaw people in Massachusetts first.
During which ended up being the last Rock and Shot.
Yeah, right. And then I think the first one we did here might have been Marc Patton.
Yeah,
that was the first, and that was right before COVID. Also, we actually filmed an interview with him
Was it
in
the
March.
before?
I think it was in
Oh,
March.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think he was out there for a screening of something.
Yeah, of his
Oh, it might have been his
It
documentary.
was. Yeah.
Yeah,
We
it
went.
was. We went.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was really great.
So yeah, we were able to film with him, and then we're like, okay, we'll get everybody else now, and then immediately
And immediately now.
Shut
Yeah.
But everybody was. They were all kind of on hold, and we just kind of waited a while, and then we set up some times with everybody when we could do it safely, and so on. And we have some really incredible people. We have a lot of Texas Chainsaw people, a lot of Friday the 13th people. I guess there's a connection that a lot of the people making Friday the 13th involved in that series were big fans of End Zone, and that I would say arguably, I don't want to make an accusation, but arguably like there are elements of Jason's story that maybe were homage to
Really, the Voorhees, not even just Jason.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
that's right.
Mhm.
And so Sophia actually flew. I wasn't able to go, but Sophia flew to San Francisco. I'm telling your stories now, but I'm very talky. So anybody, it's not. I don't even like hearing myself talk, but I just end up being talky.
Well, I went to San Francisco and got Victor Miller, who wrote the original Friday the 13th screenplay.
Which was really awesome of Victor to do it.
Oh my God, amazing. It was so great. Yeah, so he let me into his house.
You saw his Emmys.
I got to interview him in front of his Emmys. Yeah. And so he had a lot of great things to say about writing and screenplays and things he liked about the original. He's a fan of the original End Zone that's kind of more lost than End Zone 2.
Yeah.
But he had seen it way back when and had a lot of great things to say. So it was awesome.
Yeah, so it was really nice to get, to build the history, because like people, as I said, people aren't that familiar with the series, but it's like one of those things where it was important to a lot of people at the time, but it just never made its way, things that don't make their way to like home video really, or like, widespread release it was never been on DVD, it's never been on Blu-ray or anything like that. So, if you didn't see it basically like at the theater or have like a bootleg, there was some bootleg circulating at one point on VHS. You haven't seen the movies. I mean, that's just how it is. And it took us a long time to locate what we could of the materials and to kind of get it so we could put it out.
I'm always amazed like how there's always more content from the 70s that comes out like every year. Like
you think everything, we've had to have seen everything, but now
I always think I've seen like every Giallo, but no, there's always more. They always find some more somewhere. So yeah, it's people were making films on film.
It's funny that real quick about the Emmys. Victor Miller does the interview in front of the Emmys, and I went and found the original picture Troy drew when we had him on 2009, and Troy drew him with a bloody Emmy in his hand.
I remember that now after I saw that.
When you posted that, it was like hilarious because the framing and the way his face was tilted.
Yeah, it was very
awesome.
That's what I shot.
I had a premonition. I was like, one day
we'll get this shot. Yeah, it was really funny.
But yeah, it's cool.
If you see the full illustration, you're in the corner.
Yeah,
that's right. He's
wearing a mask.
You drew from a crystal ball. But no, it was great to get all those people. We got. I'm trying to think of like who.
Well, we got a lot of Friday people.
Yeah, saying that we got like Lorene Landon, who from Maniac Cop, which is like I love those movies, and
I am a big fan as well.
Yeah,
and she's really cool too. Actually, everyone involved is very cool. Not just saying that because, as you said, I'm a producer, but she is very cool.
Yeah. Marc Sheffler from Last House on the Left was great. I mean, I don't want to like we could just list
pick people,
like
people out and forget someone. Yeah.
BC Dupree brought his head that he got decapitated with in Jason Takes Manhattan. Melanie Kinnaman also from Friday 5. Yeah. So like a lot of people, talked about the directors that they worked as if they were actors, they talked about the directors that they worked with that had maybe mentioned it like End Zone 2 as, a point of reference for like the style of movie they were making. And, we got Adam Marcus who wrote
he directed Jason Goes to Hell.
Jason Goes to Hell. And talking about like the influence of it on him as a director, and Todd Farmer as a writer. He wrote Jason X.
Yeah, and they have like a friendship that's a little, has elements of their friendship is actually like around their bonding.
That comes out of the movie. Yeah.
And then through the movie, they reconnected. It's like a really touching experience on it.
It is. It's very cool. So, there's a lot of really neat stuff. And then, we're talking about all this stuff, but it really is like also the story of, the two fellows who who played the Smash Mouth.
We haven't even talked about them yet.
who are great guys. And so that's they go by Bill Whedon and Michael St. Michael's now, and so they're fantastic individuals who was really great to spend time with them, and they're both characters, definitely, right?
Oh,
I mean, in life,
yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I guess
this is the first time they were together since.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was very cool to get to hang out with them and kind of see them.
They go on a journey. Mad Monster Party was like a highs and lows, I think, experience for them.
Yeah, it was fun to see their rivalry on camera and off camera. And like, continues on
I was there for this, and I agree. It was they're definitely I'm a fan of both. I love both people, but they're very different at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but I think it's hard to know. We don't know what people's reaction to this movie is going to be like, because nobody's really seen it. But we're hoping that people feel like it has like it's fun and funny, and it has like some heart to it. And you get some vulnerability with those two guys at some points in the story, and they're it's interesting to see them open up when they finally do open up, because they're very closed off and kind of gruff, and there are some turns. I don't know. Again, I don't want to spoil the events.
It gets crazy.
It gets crazy. Goes off the rails a little bit, as all good stories do.
Yeah. And of course, you mentioned Mad Monster, but really wouldn't have been possible without Mad Monster. So thanks, Mad Monster and Eben, who I've been friends with for a long time.
Yeah, we can't wait to bring the movie back to the audience. Like a lot of
it's the one going in Charlotte is happening the same week as FrightFest. So but
we'll go to the
next year.
The next one. But a lot of the attendees of Mad Monster were in the movie as fans and as not fans, I guess, as themselves,
peripheral people,
and so they're very generous with their time. And
because we were really filming in the showroom. I mean, it's kind of crazy. That was one of the wildest things about this is like, you're doing stuff in a live setting like that, and
you guys, I know you've done like documentary stuff before, but it was never in like a setting like that. It would be like more like
not really
you talked about earlier.
Not really. Not like certainly not this scale.
We've done like live performance stuff, like music and bands where there's like a crowd, but not like this where we're trying to like capture like dialogue and stuff in a crowd of people with like there's music, there's announcements, there's a lot of chaos happening around us, and we just had our table with them and the end zone merch and stuff, but and
we just tried to film it constantly.
It was definitely difficult filming situations for us trying to make something.
And there's a limited amount of time because the convention's on goes on 3 days, so you can't say, hey, keep this convention going so we can keep recording.
Reshoot. There are no reshoots.
Exactly.
People are like, oh yeah, you're gonna do reshoots. Like, oh no, there's no reshoots. Like, that's what we got. And it happened in real time.
It was a whirlwind.
Right.
No,
you've both been to FrightFest before, right?
No,
I've never
been to FrightFest.
You'll have to show us the ropes.
Yeah.
It's a huge convention festival.
Yeah,
we're really excited.
We're very excited about it. We've heard great things about it. We've been to London before. But FrightFest has definitely always been on our list of like festivals we really want to go to. So we're very glad that they believed in this project. They're like, oh, this is really interesting kind of project and interesting story to tell. So
okay. Our dog, we have this dog Rose.
I don't know if they can hear it.
But I know, but we got her, like, I'm very distracted because like a month ago I got her this pink sock monkey toy that like crinkles, and she has not played with it at all until right now. Right now she's like biting this monkey toy. I don't know. Yeah. It's very distracting, but she's going crazy. It's hilarious.
So we got can I go to a couple questions?
Oh my god.
So somebody's asking if we have anything playing at Buffalo Dreams this year, and unfortunately
that's Ty Chaman, by the way, who's
we love Buffalo Dreams. They've been very, very kind to us, and just the timing didn't work out for this because they moved it. If it were in November, like it would have been better for me. I don't know about for you. But maybe next time.
Didn't work out on this cycle. And then Bob is asking if we've ever done a mockumentary, and I think that's a good opportunity to bring up the movie we made about Neal. Umbilicus Desidero. We made
I believe it's award-winning here.
Award-winning. I have another trophy for it as well. So it's a multi-award winning.
Multiple
nice.
I think it's won a few more as well. But anyway, It's
For Steven. She walked away. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's Steven?
That's Steven.
Name it Steven?
Did he ask about it?
yeah,
Okay.
he was talking
All right.
documentary.
So is the story of Neal and his belly button.
Or
So
lack
you can
of.
watch that on any I think it's on YouTube and other platforms, but Umbilicus Desidero. So yeah, and we've made documentaries before as well.
I'm reading the comments on Michael's phone, so I'm
Your head is like dipping out of the
no, I'm sorry.
But yeah, we made that's kind of like a big thing we did. We made a bunch of documentaries about kind of stuff about our own film. We've done documentary work with for press events and other things like that. But yeah, this is the first like kind of big scale project like this.
I feel like we have made like Bloodhound, I think was.
Oh yeah, Bloodhound.
Documentary.
I forgot about
that. Our first dog, King Ghidorah, R.I.P. We made a little like 3-minute documentary about him being Dracula, stuck in a Chihuahua body. I think that's still on Arrow, right?
It is on Arrow. Yeah. Who
Okay.
sponsors Arrow? Arrow is the main sponsor of FrightFest.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's available on the Arrow streaming service at this point.
I think it's still on YouTube too. But so that's like, I mean, it's a true mockumentary because he did fly away. So but I feel like mockumentary.
There's always truth, even like there's no. This is what I always say to people with documentary and mockumentary. It's like even any documentary you make is going to be shaped by like what you choose to put into it, how you choose to like frame the story, what you omit, who you follow, what whose perspectives you include in it. And so there's no reality, like there's no such thing as truth. Like, I mean, they talk about reality.
When I've interviewed people who that's all they make is documentaries, they even say that it's still storytelling. It's just
absolutely. Yeah, you're writing. I mean, there's a writer
on documentaries. You can't be impartial the minute you're deciding to leave things out.
Yeah.
So
we sort of view it like, even making this is like, was an interesting question about this. We're like, well, how much do we have to follow like exactly, what the things that happen? How much can we do interesting like surrealist kind of stuff with it? How much can we add little elements that are fun? And so we tried to to make a kind of a documentary story that's interesting, but like we're not that worried about like it's not a historical. It's not like you're reading a history book about the thing, right? So you can enhance it, you can tell it. The idea really is to share there's a truth in the story of the experience of like the guys. There's a truth in the story of like what people, when they talk about their fandom of the movie and other things, there's always like a truth in there. And I know the reason I kind of like, this is wrapping back around to your movie, because I know your movie is it's humorous, right? I think, I mean, we can say that the story of you losing your belly button is funny, but it's a true. It did happen. I mean, it's a true thing that happened to you.
Sure.
Traumatic,
and there there are presentations of it that I think are metaphorical or representative of other experiences and other things. And so anytime you're presenting something like that, especially like because you're there as yourself, even if you're acting you're acting as yourself. And so you're drawing, anytime you act, you draw from yourself. But when you're acting as yourself, you really are drawing from your own experience and your own emotion and your own things, especially when it's a story that's about you. So I think we played around with that in this, and I think we're happy to play around with that in things we make. We're not that, I wouldn't watch any documentary and assume that like that's a factual representation of anything. I just
even as Steven says, he says just deciding what to make a documentary about is already biased.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
You already made it. Once you've made a choice, you're down a path.
Right. Yeah. So that's that's kind of the way we approach this whole thing too. It's like what's important to us is there's a truth inherent in it, right? There's a truth that's in the story, but what we include and whether we choose to embellish things or enhance things that's fine.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting when you said about people have different metaphors, like what I'm talking about or what people are talking about here. And after Umbilicus came out, I had a lot of people who took it, I don't want to say more serious than it is, but saw different metaphors in that. It was just a weird experience that people would. It's something that I thought was a silly 4-minute, a fun thing to watch, and people read a lot more in it than I thought they would. Which was cool though.
Well, I think there is something legitimately there. I don't think I again, like I don't think it's purely a joke because it's about. I mean, that film. It's a traumatic event for
and
you.
it's you processing
right?
what happened too. I think a little bit in that movie.
Oh, honestly, it helped me because it wasn't a great time, so it was fun. It was fun for me to do something to kind of make,
if you
not
can make
fun
light of it,
but have light of it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I definitely was thinking of other things when I was talking.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of like, that's a broad discussion of sort of documentary. But yeah, that's kind of our philosophy about it all. And we just want people to enjoy the story and go on a ride with us for those two movies, to experience the two movies together. And it'll be interesting to see. I'm really curious what the Q&A will be like, because we have a Q&A after the films. And I think originally they were going to do the Q&A between them. But now I think they've decided to do it after both, which I think is a better.
Yeah, I agree.
Like the credits of Once in the Future Smash, like, we used some of the bits and things people said that didn't quite fit into the movie elsewhere, and we threw them in the credits. So like, I'm glad we're not like dipping out the credits to do the Q&A.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
We're gonna go right into from the credits to end zone too. So.
Yeah, we have a ton of cutting room floor material.
I was going to ask about that. I kind of getting ahead of yourself, probably, but do you have any plans to do anything with those?
Well, out of like any movie we've made, I think we have the most bonus materials from this movie. Like stuff from the convention that like got trimmed. Like I think pretty much everything we shot, a little bit of it made it in, but a lot got trimmed down. So conversations and stuff. And then, with our interviewees, our subjects, like, we only used a couple lines each, but we have like longer form interviews with them.
Yeah.
So there's definitely going to be a lot of bonus footage. So whoever wants to give us money and put out a double Blu-ray, we've got a lot.
We should give a shout out to our editor, Aaron Burrow.
I was just going to mention him as well. Yeah.
He was really,
he suffered for us.
He did suffer. He was really instrumental in like helping, shape the movie, shape the story, and decide kind of like what fits and how to structure it, because there's so much stuff. And and
it was good to have another pair of eyes on it, because he wasn't at the convention, and so he just saw the footage. So he didn't
the experience I always think of that. If you edit your own stuff, you have to, even if you don't want it to be there, it's got to be there. Your experience of actually filming it.
Yeah.
And I can't cut this because I enjoyed being there. But if someone who looked at it wasn't there, like, well, they don't know if it's good or not.
It's usually the opposite. Usually there's like a traumatic day on
set. Very much. Yeah.
There's usually something that like you're like mad about, something that happened on set because it just went really not the way you wanted.
Yeah.
And then so you like, this is gonna suck. I don't want to do it. And you look at it and you're like, no, this actually turned out fine. It's just like
especially somebody else's eyes that doesn't have like that association.
Right. And the convention especially, I mean, it wasn't nothing bad happened there. I don't
No, but just like it was like we were saying, it was very difficult
overwhelming
to shoot there. And like, I don't like to be in crowds in general. And it's just like constant stream of people. And
the clowns got a little unwieldy, I have to say. There was a section and they are in the movie. The clowns did.
They were good clowns.
That's like what you were saying. Maybe if you put my experience, you're like, let's cut all these guys out. But you're like, oh no, I guess it works.
I mean,
they're there. Yeah, they're there.
When we're shooting, it's also we're not trying to tell them what to do exactly, but sometimes it's helpful to be like, oh, can you guys stand over here, or like can we make adjustments to kind of what's happening, or be like, so we certainly manipulated the situations a little, like to a degree, right, to make it possible for us to film it and capture it. And so some people were more cooperative with that than others. Like, so if somebody somebody came to get their blender manual signed, for example. And so we're like, oh, cool, like give us a second so we can, set up and make sure we film that well, like that we're not just gonna miss that, because it's gonna be one moment where when it happens. So people were like, oh yeah, cool, no worries, like I can wait, I can handle that. But then clowns are very chaotic. That's certainly the case.
And you had to chase everybody for the releases.
Yeah, you were trying to.
Oh yeah. But I had some of my minions doing that, Jason.
Yeah, we might have. I mean, we'll see what our legal status is by the end of this. I don't even know. Like, there's a lot complicated. I mean, as anything like this, where you have, you just are trying to get releases, trying to get people to, understand that they're basically part of a film and like what's happening. But yeah, it's chaos.
I think we got everybody.
No, we did okay, I think. Yeah.
But would you say that under oath?
You can never count how many clowns there actually are, because they just seem to multiply.
There's a lot of clowns in the movie.
I actually noticed on IMDb the one clown is someone I know, and I didn't know that at the time. Chris Blair.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Also, I know that clown as well.
It's
Yeah,
also,
I didn't know it was actually.
I didn't know he was a clown, but
No, I didn't either.
it's also
an
really
actual
fascinating.
clown.
It's fascinating too because we filmed, tons of people. Like we're talking about deleted scenes to a degree before, and so we film a whole bunch of people, and then you feel bad, like you're like, oh, I don't want to cut you out. So it's like there are people we cut most of their stuff, and then we're like, we'll put them in just in the credits, like appearing,
Yeah, because they were terrible.
Yeah.
No, it's just like sometimes the story. There's a big chunk. Like I'll give you an example of a tangent. There's a whole chunk because the music in End Zone 2 is really interesting. Actually, it's kind of like I know
great.
we've talked about this before. How we love when there's like I guess Marc Sheffler described it in his like interview as like kind of incongruent music with the film, and he talked about in Last House how like David Hess wrote those kind of like folk songs that are underneath this like violence and other stuff. And so, End Zone 2 also has like, especially 2 at the beginning and end, these like kind of folk songs that are really neat songs. And it's interesting that they're in the context they are, in the film. And so we had a whole bunch of people talking about how they love those songs and the music is really interesting. And then it was influential to thinking about like how other movies use that kind of music in it. And it was a cool piece, but it was like 5 or 7 minutes long, and it doesn't really move the story of the guys forward. And it's just kind of like you feel like it's just out of place in the movie, right? And so that got thrown on the cutting room floor. But I want to make sure some people.
Yeah, we tried to throw that back in the credits too, but then
it
was just too long again. It was interesting. So yeah, that'll definitely be a bonus.
Yeah,
a bonus.
That's just like one example of something that story that is interesting about the movie, but we just can't cover every. We can't ask for people to watch 4 hours of I guess we could, but we didn't want to ask people to watch 4 hours of documentary about End Zone 2.
Yeah. But by the way, do you have either of you favorite documentaries about about anything, but I guess more about like movies or entertainment?
Yeah, you had some.
Well,
I have no idea.
The Freakin' Exorcist doc was cool.
It's really almost an interview, but
I would listen to
go back, watch a movie, then read the book because I thought it was so great. Yeah,
that was great.
So great.
I like the weird alien art doc that came out recently.
Memory?
Like a memory. Yeah, that was fun. I'm just thinking of recent stuff. Yeah, Jodorowsky's doing not even about a movie that exists, but it's
fascinating.
Yeah. But I've been telling people because I've been doing some interviews. I don't want to, make you feel bad, but you're not the first interview we've done about this movie.
Like the third.
Interview's over.
But no, some of the people were asking, kind of like what are comparables for this movie? Like what movies are similar to this? And so I sat down and really kind of thought, like, well, what has the same format? And what I really kind of the conclusion I came to is that this is a movie where we tell the story of the movie that they're in, and then the story of the actors as well. And so the best comparable that I could think of was the movie Life After Flash. Did you ever see that? The Flash Gordon.
I remember when that came out. That wasn't that long ago, but no, I didn't.
Yeah, a couple years ago. I guess it played FrightFest. The last guy who interviewed me said that was actually a movie at FrightFest, so that was interesting. But it's really good. It's really, really good because it's just kind of celebrating the movie Flash Gordon, which I think is I love Flash Gordon. I don't know if you're.
Troy.
Yeah, I love Flash Gordon. So it celebrates the movie, it interviews like a bunch of people, they talk about it very joyously. And then it also follows the story of Sam Jones, who played Flash Gordon. And it, very much like our film, he kind of thought he was like on the rise and he was going to be this great thing. And he even refused to like come back to do the dubbing for it. So somebody else's voice is in the movie. And then he just had basically no career after, like his career just tanked. And he's a security, he's like a security detail for people going into Mexico and stuff. And he's okay. He had, I think he had rough years, but kind of like came back around and
then he started doing conventions and stuff.
Exactly. And so it's a really interesting story because I think our guys are kind of like in the same arc as that. And one of the things, I'm sorry, I keep going on various tangents, but one of the things that made us really want to do this movie is we love the idea. We don't love actually going to conventions. We're not like huge convention fans, but we love the concept of convention culture because it's like people who are in like one Friday the 13th movie, 30 years ago and or 40 years ago, at this point. And they kind of like quit acting or did other stuff or whatever, and now they're like being celebrated again. And a lot of the younger people, like people who are our age, are making movies now and are asking those people to be part of them. And you see like the reemergence of a lot of this talent. Yeah. And it's really neat.
Just for them to see that, like, you know, this movie that like they might not have been paid well for, or they thought kind of tanked at the time, like does have like a fan base and like is celebrated by a generation of people. So I think that's nice for them to like.
I always find it interesting to ask someone like how their opinion has changed of their movie, because a lot of the people, if they made it back, like you said, 40 years ago, they didn't have great memories of it for years because they didn't make much money from it.
Right.
And then it changes over time when now it is like a big part of their life again, and they found out that it has a following and they can actually, you know, make money again doing conventions.
Exactly. And I think like in the late 80s and early 90s, like doing a sequel like to a franchise like wasn't like the biggest gig. Like, you know, like it was like a starter gig for a lot of actors, and like so, you know, they thought maybe it was like a stepping point and not like the thing that they would be remembered for forever, you know.
But that's the thing that's interesting, and I know, you know, we go to a lot of screenings here where a lot of, you know, their actors show up and they do Q&As and stuff, and some of them have said things like you know, they enjoyed doing the movie but they didn't think much of it at the time. But now, like in retrospect, it's like there are horror conventions, there's horror fandom, there's celebration of these old films. If you did like, even if you were in like the best picture, like your movie won best picture, nobody's watching like a 1980 best picture movie. Yeah, like, it's not, there's not a fandom. There's not like a drama convention. People don't go to like
the Gladiator right now.
Yeah. I mean, maybe somebody, but
nobody.
But you know, it's you go, like we'd go to these screenings and it's like, you know, I went the other night to see Friday 5, actually, as an example, and it's like almost 200 people midnight on a Friday or Saturday night.
Oh, that's pretty wild. Anyway,
watching like, you know, Friday.
That's 5. Probably more beloved today than it was when it was.
It is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say not even one of the most, you know, celebrated chapters in it, but people have come around where it's understanding like, oh, in context, this is a cool movie, and you know, I like that they tried something different with it. I like that you know, there's a lot of fun things about it, but yeah, a lot of the actors I've heard them at Q&As and at, you know, when we talked to them about how like they didn't really, you know, horror was kind of like they were kind of told like, oh, horror movies are kind of like lowbrow and you're not, and now that's what they're known for, and they're so happy that they're known for something. Like they're so happy to be celebrated for something and to be able to work again because, you know, they're doing because people are interested in those movies.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up watching Siskel and Ebert, and sometimes I like to watch old episodes again just because part of it's nostalgia and it's cool. But there'll be movies, like you said, that'll pop up on there that I don't like. I'll remember when they mention it, or I don't have any recollection of, but they'll be praising them and they were up for awards. But, you know, then they'll talk about, you know, I don't think a Basket Case was ever on there, but a movie like that. And like, well, everyone loves Basket Case today. But, you know, these other movies that were multiple award-winning films no one thinks about.
Right.
They're lost in time.
Basket Case is selling a lot more Blu-rays than Terms of Endearment or whatever.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like, I don't know where that movie came in. Yeah. No, I mean, it's true.
What's more rewatchable?
Your secret hatred of Terms of Endearment.
No, I've never even seen that. Yeah, English Patient, right. But it kind of blows your mind that like that's you know, even some of the studios they're talking about like stopping making physical media at all, and that's why there's this emergence of all these boutique labels that are like putting out the kind of
and they're all genre films.
Yeah, all genre films, exactly. So very, very rarely is it like you know, a drama.
It might be like something like The Godfather or something.
Right, yeah.
But
well, they're definitely are iconic. Yeah, they're movies.
Arguably, that is a genre movie, though.
That's true. That's really true.
One point though about the Flash Gordon doc, they didn't have nearly enough Brian Blessed in there.
You can never have enough Brian Blessed.
No, it's so true. Yeah. When he just shows up with the big booming voice and just whoa, like there's Voltan the Hawk, man. That's so awesome.
Gordon, he's alive.
He's been doing these little things on the BBC, I think like maybe 4 years ago, where he's Henry VIII. Yeah. And they're outstanding if you haven't seen them. They're worth a watch.
In the doc, one of my favorite moments in that doc actually is Brian Blessed talking about how he occasionally sees Brian May like walking down the street, and he'll just like yell a line from Flash Gordon and like run away and hide.
That would be the greatest, though. You got to think about that.
Up on him and like yell something. Flash Gordon.
If people don't know, Troy is my older brother. So when I was growing up, he was a big Flash Gordon fan.
Yep. Yep. Neal was tormented by a lot of Flash Gordon stuff.
I can't watch it. PTSD.
You can't go back to it now. It's like, no, bad times.
We saw like a theatrical, like a 35 of it with Life After Flash. Oh, that was the first time you'd seen it. Never seen it. And I was terrified because I had not seen it since like I'd watched it kind of as I was a little older, like maybe early 90s, but I had not seen it since. And I was like, I'm gonna hate this movie. Like,
yeah, sometimes it's tough to go back.
And I was so scared. And then we sat down and watched it. I'm like, I love this movie. I still love everything about this movie. It's great.
Well, sometimes it's even better going back to a movie like that when you're like, oh my God, that's Topol. I didn't know that. Sarcophagus. Yeah. Oh my God, that's the best. They expect them to break in the song.
Yeah, no, it definitely that's one of those things where like I was not disappointed from I didn't have a false sort of childhood memory of the greatness or whatever it is now. My love of it is, I can see different things in it that I love, like the costumes and the production design or like.
Oh yeah. A costume, some of it's so great just because like if you go back to like the source material, the old Alex Raymond stuff, and like some of the stuff like Ming's wearing, it's like, holy shit, that's right out of the comic strip. That's so great.
Yeah. Steven Stahl is saying he's asking if he ever showed me his terms of endearment tattoo.
Will get us kicked off YouTube.
And then I think Bob was saying he loves
getting too excited about Shakespeare in Love.
He loves going to conventions and seeing an actor reunion for the King's Speech and getting them to sign his King's Speech Mondo poster. So
I will say my go-to thing for years on the show was there is no rom-com fest.
Yeah,
and then I got an email a few years ago about a rom-com.
Well, they do.
I think it only lasted.
You want credit for that now? That's what it is.
They started doing this thing called like the Hollywood show here, and not ironically not in Hollywood, but in like Pasadena or something. But it has like a lot more of like general kind of actors. Like it might have soap actors or other.
Okay.
So people, the fandom is growing, and people are just want to meet like other types of people. But
what would the cosplay be at like a rom-com fest? It's just all the guys just have like a boombox over their head, and they just
I guess
exactly.
There's like 100 of them.
Go as a notebook.
Or as the Space Needle. Is that where they meet? I don't know.
Michael secretly.
I've seen, from the 90s and such, I've seen many of them. But,
there was a time I still go and see most movies that come out, not everything, but there was a time I pretty much just saw every movie that was released.
Yeah. It's hard now, yeah.
I don't think you could do it.
I saw You've Got Mail on a Peter Pan boss one.
As a Yahoo email.
Yeah, you can. It's AOL.
You can make that ding.
Yeah.
That'll be
my You've Got Mail costume.
Was that a Billy Crystal one?
No, it's Tom Hanks and.
Oh, was it Tom Hanks?
Yeah, right? I think so.
I don't.
Maybe Billy Crystal made a movie almost exactly like
When Harry Met Sally is the.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Anyway, we don't have to talk about rom-coms, but no. I mean,
upcoming rom-com month.
It gets back to the
13.
There are general film festivals like like Sundance or something. It's a general film festival. It's mostly drama and stuff. But there are no like drama specific film festivals. There's no like maybe there are, but not many. Not many like rom-coms.
I mean, there's really hardly a weekend goes by if somewhere in America there's not a horror convention.
Yeah,
sometimes
that's it. Like
in like small towns, big towns.
Right. Yeah. Horror film festivals, horror conventions. Horror clubs and celebrations, like just everything. And I mean, here we're blessed with an embarrassment of riches of like horror screenings. Like there's just so much stuff to go to and cult movie screenings and such. And I was my mind was blown. I think when we were in Boston still, my mind was blown once because we were sitting in the it was Coolidge Corner, I think, and we go in at midnight and we sit down and it's like a full theater, like several hundred people watching Pieces. And my mind is absolutely blown because I'm thinking like this is a movie that was just like a weird thing that I rented on VHS that I thought like me and 3 other people ever would have seen. And tons of people celebrate it now. They're doing like 4K. They're doing like expensive 4K rescan restorations of pieces.
Yeah, I have it actually.
I'm sure there's no 4K scan of Terms of Endearment. You know, like there's no 4K. There's no 4K Blu-ray of Terms of Endearment.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. But I remember the first time I went to Coolidge, and it was a same experience. It wasn't pieces, but just it was a very cool experience knowing that, like I grew up and like very few people like these movies, and to see a whole bunch of people that love something like that, it is a cool experience. Yeah. A lot of people look down on the internet, and sometimes I do too. But that is positive that you can find a lot of people who like stuff that you like.
Absolutely, sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so. FrightFest. So you've never been to FrightFest, so this will be a fun experience, and you guys are going to be there for the whole time.
Yeah. We are, yeah. Well, we figured we might as well. If we're going to fly 11 hours.
Oh yeah.
For
me, how many days total is it? Is it like a 7-day thing? Oh, 5 days.
It's Thursday. Yeah, Thursday through Monday. So Thursday, Friday.
I think that's a good amount of time. I think it's a lot. I think once you start getting into longer than that, you start to get delirious when you're just sitting there watching.
Yeah, you can't be. Yeah.
Well, we'll watch a lot of the movies, but we also, we just have a lot of people to meet up with who are like friends of ours, and just people we've been wanting to meet up with who live far away, and it's just an opportunity to catch up, with a lot of kind of things that we wouldn't be able to experience without actually being like kind of on the ground there. And we haven't been to that many film festivals the last few years, so we really missed, we've been to a couple here and there. Like we went to
the Genre Blast.
We went to Genre Blast last year. We went to a couple of LA fests last year, and those are great. That was really fun. But it was still kind of under the a little too much of the COVID, fear and everything. This year, although COVID is rampant right now, we had COVID like a month ago, so we feel like okay, we're probably relatively immune for another month or two. So
good timing.
Yeah, I think it makes you appreciate these, more. You kind of take stuff for granted when you could go to everything, and then now.
It's still weird, honestly, getting back to like going out to theater or whatever, and it's definitely feels wrong still.
Especially, with a lot of people.
Yeah, okay. I don't know in the UK, but like I still try to wear my masks everywhere.
Yeah, we'll probably have a tough time there. But Steven says he loves buying Blu-rays for that cost more money than the movie cost to make. That might be true. That might be true.
He's paying like $100,000 for some really like high stuff, or like these stuff.
I don't know if you have the deluxe pieces one with the puzzle and everything in it, but that might have cost more than the movie.
That the Criterion edition.
Yeah,
pieces.
I mean, like yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, that's really fun that those are being celebrated. But yeah, we'll enjoy London, I think. And
Bob wants me to name one to English breakfast.
Nice.
I had that when I was Earl Grey. I had a bunch of certain things I had to get. The full breakfast. I had that twice.
Oh yeah. Last time
I had bangers and mash.
Oh my god, yeah.
Fish Manchester, honestly, a lot of stuff was like very just New England food, bangers and mash.
Yeah.
Well, that's it is called New England.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I keep trying to get Sophia to pronounce Leicester correctly.
Every time I say it different.
How is it pronounced?
I think it's just Leicester, like Worcester.
Leicester.
Yeah.
I'm going Leicester.
I'm like Leicester.
Yeah, I'm like Leicester.
I mean, I don't know. Do we have any British listeners who can?
Yeah, we should.
It's late night for them.
So I would say they're probably asleep right now.
But no, we're excited. We're excited. There's a lot of people we've collaborated with on the internet who we haven't met in person. We made a movie during the pandemic. I'll get as one example with our friend Kate McCoy. We made a pandemic kind of, I don't know, it's quite an anthology, but an experimental kind of anthology thing.
The transformations of the Doctors Jenkins on Tubi now. Well, it's not Tubi now. It's Tubi.
Right now. Right at this moment. It's on
you can go right at this moment and watch it on Tubi. But we kind of like produced that whole thing with Kate without having ever been in a room
and nobody
together.
Else, just Kate.
No one else. Well, no one else really contributed anything important.
Right now.
Kate was the only one who contributed anything important to that. No, our friends Stephen Stahl and Bob Rose, who also are part of that, were chatting, asking us questions, and we relay what they're saying. Steven runs the Bizarro Land Film Festival, which is a really cool fest as well.
I've never been to that. I plan to get there.
It's newly named Bizarro Land, so which is I'm excited for that. We probably won't be able to go this year, but we will go soon.
I've never been to Florida, so do I want to break that seal? I don't know. Just like leave it locked up.
Yeah, I was very young. We went to Disney, Troy.
That's a long
go that
time
year?
I don't think I ever went with you. I went by.
Okay,
I think it was pre you.
Yeah, all right.
I've been to Florida only once.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, actually, I didn't really miss it. Like, I went a couple times.
Everyone's just trying to get Steven to move.
Oh, okay. Yeah, get out of there.
Salts and alligators. That's all I know about Florida.
And that's the good part of it. No,
even asked Neal, do you like jellied eels? No. I found out no, I do not. People did tell me the food in London was bad. I disagree. I actually thought it was very good. Except for the exception was the jellied eel, which I did not order. Jason ordered because he thought it would make a funny video if he made me eat jellied eel, which it might have.
Yeah. We will not eat jellied eels. We'll probably just stay in Leicester Square the whole time and kind of hang out at the movies and
hoping to get some Indian food.
Yeah,
there's a lot of cool places around there too.
Yeah,
especially if you have someone in the area like Tim Dry would show me other places.
Yeah,
it is a little disappointing when you first get there and there's like KFC and
but that's anywhere though. That's always so weird.
Yeah. Is Tim Dry coming to this year?
Tim Dry will be there he's coming Monday. Him and Emma Dark will be there Monday. Cool. And they want to go out for drinks before the film and then
get us all drunk before the movie. Tim does a voice.
Tim does do a voice. He does a little bit part in Once a Future Smash. It was great to have him as part of it. And he plays the alien in Extra, which is a really cool
and a little movie called Return of the Jedi.
I never heard of it. No, not familiar.
It's a small indie film.
More importantly, Extra though.
Yeah, I know Extra. Come on.
Yeah, I agree. I'm totally about Extra.
Extra was a very fucked up.
Return of the Who.
That is.
The GD.
Yeah. So we're excited.
He's a great guy. I think.
Now Steven's offering Neal a VIP pass to Bizarro. Where's my VIP pass?
Yeah.
No. Very nice. Very nice.
Well, anyway.
Well, if you want to be my camera person, you can. I'll see if I can get you in.
Okay, good.
join along. No, we'll hopefully make it down to Bizarro Land sometime soon.
Yeah, but no, Tim's cool. Tim also invented the robot dance. I don't know if you know this.
No, I did not.
In his band Tick and Talk.
Yeah, I knew he was in the band Tick and Talk. Yeah, which is a funny name now because of TikTok, right? But But
makes it hard to look up the videos because that's what always pops up.
Yeah. Huh.
Lots of hours of interviews with Tim Dry on here if you want to look him up. One of them we did just like a 2-hour interview all about his music career. It's really interesting and probably a lot of stories people haven't heard before. I would check that out.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. So do you plan on seeing any other films at FrightFest? I kind of know the answer to this.
No. Yeah, definitely.
We have to look at the list here, but we'll see what we can get into because we can't get into everything. We were talking about this before. We have. That's
the thing. It is a very giant convention,
so right? And we have filmmaker passes, but that doesn't quite guarantee you access to everything because it's just too jammed.
And it is the right way to do it. People there. Paying customers should get
absolutely, yeah. And there are limited seats. Some of the theaters are quite limited in seating and everything. It's a very popular event. So
they have multiple theaters showing.
It's really big, Troy.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, 5 theaters. Yeah. 5 theaters.
Oh wow!
Yeah, multiple screens going.
Yeah. So you got to kind of pick and choose. And
I think the big theater has like 12 screens or something. I don't know. It's a very big.
Yeah. So we're excited. I know we're excited to see the new Argento movie. So that's cool. I think is that Dark Glasses? That is, right?
Is that what that's called?
I think that is the Argento movie. Yeah. So we're excited about that. There's I forgot the name of it. The Wounded Fun. Yeah, Travis Stevens' new movie. Do you ever have Travis on your show?
Yeah. I met him at Buff. Really cool guy. I hung out with him a little bit, and he's really I liked his movie. Played Buff that year too. It had a wrestler CM Punk in it.
Yeah. So his new movie, A Wounded Fawn, is it called?
A Wounded Fawn.
A Wounded Fawn is playing
cool.
there. So we're hoping to catch that. I don't know if we're gonna be able, they're gonna let us in or not, but we're gonna try to get in. What else was on the list?
Family,
Oh yeah, some friends. Yep, some Austrian folks made a movie called Family Dinner that we've heard is really good, and we're really excited to see that. So we're gonna try to get into that. I know Mark Patton's movie Swallowed is playing. Which
that's nice. I haven't seen it, but I wanted to see it.
Yeah, so that's there. I'm trying to remember what else. There was like another dozen movies. I'm sorry, I'm blanking. Oh yeah, what's the name of the Roland doc? There's a Roland doc with Brigitte Lahaye. I'm bad at pronouncing French names, but she's one of the actors who was in a lot of Jean Roland movies. If you're not familiar with his movies, they're like surreal, dreamy. A lot of them are kind of vampire themed.
I think some of the main influences on Blood of the Tribbles.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, our film Blood of the Tribbles, we rip off a lot of Roland imagery and kind of style with it and everything. So so there's a Roland documentary, and Brigitte Lahaye, however you say her name, I'm sorry for that. She's going to be there to do like an introduction. She's in a bunch of his films, and it'll be interesting to see what that's about, because he's been celebrated a little more recently, like again, because these boutique labels are like putting out all the stuff and like people are coming around to it. But he was never like a big success, I think, especially in the US, not really well known.
Well, on French.
Yeah, but that's
subtitles.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's an exciting movie that we're hoping to catch. I don't know. There's the festival. The schedule is like jam-packed. There's multiple movies at any one time, and they're all like I sort of trust that they're programming. I mean, this is kind of what I think about the festival, more so than maybe other festivals. And I'm not gonna like be like, oh, it's better than this or this or this. I feel like FrightFest actually is a little bit like what I would describe as kind of like a punk rock fest, where they actually are like looking for interesting movies rather than being so concerned about kind of like industry structure or kind of like some of that stuff. And so I think they program a little bit more of kind of like what might seem like deeper cuts at a bigger fest, like stuff that's not going to play at maybe other big genre fests.
Yeah, when I was there last time, I saw some weird stuff that I don't think played anywhere else.
Yeah.
Some of it wasn't the best thing, honestly, but I just thought it was cool that they showed it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's sort of how they view it. It's like this, they pick the stuff that they think is interesting or appeals to them, or that they think there's going to be an audience for, maybe a niche audience. And they've even said that. I listened to some of the podcasts with the organizers of Fright, and they were even saying like, look, not everybody's going to like every movie. We're not trying to like pick movies that everybody's going to like. We're trying to pick movies that are going to like really speak to people who are going to like them. And so if you don't like something, move on, go to something else. If it's not a genre that you're into, go check out a different thing.
That's the thing about horror itself. There's so many different types of horror. I mean, some people just love a blood and guts movie, and if another horror movie doesn't have all that, they don't like it. And some,
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think you probably have had the Terrifier guys on too, but the Terrifier 2 is premiering. We probably can't go to that because it's playing not at the same time as ours, but it's right before. And
directly before.
We're really drinking.
Not in the same theater.
It's not in the same place, but it's like a little bit before ours. But we wanted the opportunity to go. But I know a lot.
Yeah, I asked Damien and David if they were going to be there, but they're not going to be able to make.
Oh, they're not going to be there. Okay, yeah, that's too bad. But yeah, it's like it's a movie like that appeals to like a very kind of I don't want to insult it because I'm not trying to insult it, but like a very kind of basic horror horror fan.
I think that's a modern slasher movie. Like it's like an 80s slasher movie.
Exactly. Yeah.
If they didn't have to cut away from all the gore.
Right. Yeah. So I sort of think of that as like a very core kind of like traditional middle of the road style. Like it's going to appeal to a lot of horror fans, made for a lot of horror fans, and that's great. But then there's also like the weird stuff that's like this is going to appeal to 10% of people who want to see like some kind of, and I don't know, maybe our movie's going to appeal for
it's not like you're describing
our movie. No, we don't know. But our movie's not.
But there's people like I like all different stuff. I'm a Terrifier fan, but I also like really weird stuff, and I like silly stuff, and really depends what kind of mood I'm in.
Us too, definitely. We're not particular. We're not like that's not real horror. We only like this kind of horror. It's not scary. You know,
people, it wasn't scary. I'm like, come on, are you 5? Like,
yeah, right. If I only liked movies that scared me, like I would just
you'd have two movies to watch, and that's it. Yeah. Which one am I gonna watch tonight? It's The Exorcist again tonight.
Yeah, I don't think any movies scare me anymore at this point.
Rarely. Yeah.
Maybe they might make you like jump, but actual scared is different.
Yeah, I'll do a jump scare.
Right. but I think these guys who put together FrightFest, they really I think they're doing great work to celebrate the genre and look at a cross section of the genre and like really, you know, say like we want to give newer artists a chance to be presented, and we want to kind of present stuff that is kind of like classic. There's some repertory stuff. There's some, you know, there's some big name kind of people who are, I mean, Argento was an example.
Yeah, I heard of that.
The Neal Marshall movie, right? Is playing.
Oh yeah, there's Neal Marshall. And they're doing Dog Soldiers.
They're doing the restoration.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah,
that'll be good.
Yeah.
It's the 20th anniversary, I think.
Right. So they have like, you know, the kind of bigger genre people like that, and then they have like, you know, us jerks who they're like, you know, we're going to give you a spotlight as well, and
and the Prince.
And as you guys mentioned, I'm co-producer here, and it is very exciting, and it's a little nervous to watch the movie. Think about watching the movie with everybody.
Have you seen the final cut? Have you seen the final cut?
Watching Umbilicus with people. What?
Have you seen the final cut of the movie? Did you watch it after we? Because I know you saw.
No, I have seen cuts of the movie, and I was very excited to watch the final cut. So it's not like, I forget this.
No,
but I did think it would be a cool experience to see it on the big screen.
Yeah. No, I knew you were saying you were going to save it for like the actual.
The credits are like the final thing.
It's not like vastly different from what you.
Sure. I will say that it's from the whole experience has been very cool for me, and seeing the different cuts, it's been a cool experience to see how a movie gets shaped. And how different
I bet it is. I bet that is.
Yeah. Especially, you know, because this is the first thing you were looking like. We always say it's really hard because when we make like an assembly or early cut, we never want to send it to anybody involved in the movie.
I could see why, because you know, the first time I watched like where I was like, I could see there was stuff there that was good, obviously, but at the same time I was like, man, I don't know. But then when that thing starts to come along, it really shapes.
Well, for a while, we had a cut that was only the convention stuff, and I think Aaron, our editor, was like a little worried that there wasn't a full movie there, and we're like, we know there's not a full movie, we're just that.
Yeah.
You know, so it did come.
Yeah, because I think his first assembly of that was maybe like 70 minutes, just convention stuff. And the movie, the whole movie now runs about 84 minutes, 83 minutes. And just the convention stuff was about 70 minutes. And he's like, you know, there's some weak stuff like that doesn't really work or whatever. And I'm like, look, this is like going to be cut in half. Like this is going to be maybe not quite half, but like convention stuff should be 40 minutes of the movie or, you know, something along those lines. And then the other 40 minutes is a lot of this other storytelling and history of the movie. And that adds the context and gives you the framework for it. So it's like, you can't watch this and think that that's supposed to be a functional movie. It's just not. Not a function. So that's
it even made me think, because I was taking notes, and then I realized like I should have took a lot more notes that I thought should have been changed. But you guys took care of all that. But
I was like, oh no.
No. Because I remember watching, I was like, oh, this scene's way too long. But I was like, what do I say? I don't know. So but then I would see the next cut that was complete. I was like, oh, okay. They knew that it was this.
Yeah, we're used to looking at stuff.
Or even it was too long, but maybe it was cut and then it was moved around. So it's, you know, like you see a little bit here, a little bit here, and it makes it flow better.
Yeah.
And it keeps you more interested, you know.
We spent a lot of time because I mean, things don't necessarily go in any order, right? Just by the nature of the story. And like we tried to kind of like script out the order. Like we had the material, then we're like, okay, here's, you know, we sent it to Aaron. We're like, here's kind of like the structure that we think. And then he would move stuff around, and then we watch it and we're like, oh, now this doesn't work because, you know, this is kind of weird, or like we don't really learn about this. It takes us like one of the earlier cuts, it took us like 30 minutes to like get to the guy's story, and I'm like, we can't. That was like one of the first cuts I remember. I was like, we cannot.
It almost seemed like like we just watched something and then we're into some other movie. Yeah.
So you know, so we had to fight a little bit with that. Not. I don't mean fight like, you know, anybody disagreed, but just
but just how do you get this to work? Yeah.
How do we make it happen? And so, you know, again, Aaron was truly instrumental in that process, because we'd send him notes. We'd say, oh, get rid of this, do this. And he would do that. But also we'd just say like, we need this to work, or, we need this earlier. Like, can you find a way to, we didn't have a solution, but we knew the problem, and we're like, can you solve this problem? And he was great at like just kind of finding ways to do that. And every cut, every round of that, we moved stuff around. There was a time where I'm like, oh, this, like, something happens, and then it's really like the next day, but you don't feel like any time has passed. So we inserted some stuff in there, and then now it feels much better. Things along those lines. Because again, it's not like you're telling a linear story exactly. I mean, there's sort of a story in order, but
yeah,
a lot of, especially the interviews and other things, we're talking about the history, and it's like, well, where do you put these history tangents into the story? Like, when is it important for you to understand like what happened with the series, or like why the reel is missing, or like why there's not, like, there wasn't a sequel, or so on, like things like that.
Was there ever a time, like, so we filmed the majority of the movie at Mad Monster, and then you did get the Marc Penn thing, but then there's a big lull of when you can really do anything. Is there any a point in time between those two things when you start getting the new footage that you just thought, like, maybe this is just not going to ever happen?
The whole time. Yeah, the whole time.
Yeah, I definitely think there was, in the mid-pandemic, they were like, I don't know. Yeah.
It was very depressing. Yeah, I mean, honestly, we were very depressed about this movie until like we actually got to that home stretch where we're like, okay, now we can actually do this and like put it together. And then once it started coming together, and again, as we had cuts and we're like, oh, this doesn't work, we need to add, do things. We shot additional interviews. I mean, that was one nice thing about doing some of the interviews later, is that if there's a gap, like, let's say you're like, oh, nobody's told the story of this part, we could ask somebody. We could be like, oh, what do you think about this, or like, what do you know, because again, we're shaping the story, even though if it's supposed to be truth, but we're shaping the story by choosing what questions we ask people, or even prompting them a little bit, like say, oh yeah, could you just talk about that more, or could you expand on that? Like, we're guiding to some degree like what people are presenting. And so we're able to shape the story and look at like the cut and say, there's really nobody talking about this, we better use our next two interviews to kind of cover that.
Some of this,
yeah, and we have three people who are in the movie who are not like necessarily presented. They're not really like actor, or like I don't want to say they're not celebrities, but they're not in that kind of framework. They're more people who are like involved in history of film, or we have basically we have three people who are like either film programmers or film writers, or just people who are kind of experts on film history, and they were able to talk about the history a little bit more. So they were able to tell the story rather than have us have like a narrator or something, because we talked with Aaron about that. We're like, we need a narrator to like explain.
Right. Like, I remember, at the time that was a big part that we were trying to,
we were like, what are we doing? How do we make sure the story's told? Yeah. So we were lucky because we were able to get those three folks to do that, and that worked out really well. So that I was really happy with that. And they were like prompted a little bit more maybe than the other people who were talking more about their own experience, because they're, we're like, okay, we need to cover what happened with End Zone 3D, for example. And so we're like, oh, can you talk about that? And so we had like Jared Rivet, who loves 3D movies, is a big fan of 3D movies. And so he was able to, he's like, oh yeah, I could definitely, give a whole discussion about, kind of End Zone 3D. And, Heidi Honeycutt is, she writes about women in film. Well, she runs Etheria, which is a women genre film festival. And she wrote a book that's about, or it's not out yet, but it's coming soon.
Yeah, I'm blanking on the title, but it was
I Spit on Your Celluloid.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, it's a pun.
I Spit on Your Celluloid. So that's coming soon. And so it's about women in film, like the history, I think, right? Women in film, in horror film, not just in film. And so that's great. And then we had Jim Branscombe, who's a programmer at Cinematic Void, one of the series that we love here. And so the three of them, their knowledge and because they're all like nerds about movies. Well, I mean, like
Jared is like one of the quizzers at
horror trivia here.
Okay.
Yeah, which is like, it'll be like, what posters are on the wall in opera? Well, like, and it's like, okay. Yeah, it was like
there was like the kill count for RoboCop 2, and they hit 109 or something.
Jared alternates with Becca McKendry is the other host, and she just directed this movie Glorious, the Shudder. So anyway, check that out. It's really cool. But they kind of alternate writing the rounds, and then sometimes other guests come in, and we're always like, oh, this is the Jared round.
Well, Jared will be like, in the Shining,
too hard.
On Thursday, what happens?
Yeah.
I guess like I don't even remember the day.
Yeah,
a lot, and I don't even remember that it'll pop up a title card with the day. And I was like, "What are you talking about, Jared?"
Jared asks famously hard questions. Basically, I mean, he's a great person. He's really nice. He's really nice.
Yeah. Great.
So when people curse him, he's so nice that you can't get too mad at him. But also his questions are too hard. They're so hard. But he's so knowledgeable. I mean, that's part of why we're like, he's perfect for this. So, he literally knows like everything, all these details about films and film history, loves 3D films and so on. So, those kind of people really help to tell the story. And they're not necessarily recognizable as somebody might from Friday the 13th might be or something, right. But they're also, they're important. They're important in the
of course.
Curation.
That's part of, that's part of how these movies stay alive.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. Yeah. So that was really great. I was really glad that we were able to get all three of them to be part of this. That was really nice that they agreed to do it. Yeah. So,
when you're reshaping the movie, would you say though that the whole basic like idea stayed the same?
Yeah. I mean, you never know where it's going at the end quite.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think too, like Aaron started sending us down wormholes for like B-roll. I'd be like, oh, it'd be really great if we could find like the cases for end zones. It's like, trying to hunt those down, film it for him, send it to him to pop in, like endless requests for B-roll.
Yeah, but they help the movie
until the very end.
But it makes the movie better. It makes the movie better because it enhances the storytelling. Like, so we're like, okay, we got to chase this thing down.
Find this poster.
Find posters, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of that. There's like a lot of, surprisingly in the film, it's like there is like a lot of animation and stop motion that we were able to track down that was like related to what we were doing.
Yeah.
So it's not just all like talking head and convention. There's like a lot of like other media.
We were surprised to find a lot more stuff than we thought would be out there at all, kind of in general with it. So
but I guess it was pretty much what we thought it would be, but I think the way it kind of everything got shifted around, and then with the B-roll and like a lot of the other pieces and media we were able to find, like all that kind of came later, I think.
Yeah.
In the editing process.
And like there's crazy surprises that happened at the convention too. Like they forced the two guys. Michael forced AJ, who's the kind of the helper for the two guys. He forced him to enter the costume contest.
Yeah, and then becomes kind of pivotal, emotional.
It's a big. I mean, I was like, wow, this is a big thing. And like, we were trying to make the agenda for like at the convention. We're like, okay, we got to do this, go to this panel, we got to do this, we got to film here. And then then suddenly AJ's entering this costume contest, and we're like, oh, well, we got to go film that. Like, we got to go.
No control over shooting. No,
I mean,
the sound is can't get that. We had to subtitle it, but it's
okay. You can hear it.
Yeah, it's fine. But it's such a good scene. It came out really.
Yeah, because we put labs on all of the people we kind of had control over filming, but at a costume contest you can't. We didn't. I guess we could have tried to get the host to wear a lab or something, but we didn't really have any.
In his Elvis costume, I don't know where would it go.
But so I mean, things like that where we don't have that much control. I mean, the sound was a nightmare. I'll tell you, I did the post sound on the movie. And just getting it to be workable was really challenging because everything was done in the convention floor. It's all people shouting everywhere and just kind of like making sure.
Once in a while, we got the guy to turn off his boombox.
Oh my God!
Directly next door.
We're like, hey, we're trying to film these guys doing stuff.
Like an hour, maybe not.
He was actually nice.
Like music that you can't use later.
He was very cooperative with us. He was very good. Yeah,
he was good. But it was we were pains in the butt. Like it's 10 a.m. now. Can we have silence until noon? Like that kind of thing.
So it's an interesting experience. Can I ask you some questions?
Sure,
yeah. In terms of the experience of filming the movie, the production of the movie, what did you what was like what you expected, and what was different from what you expected?
Well, I had experience at the festival at conventions before, so I kind of knew they would be very hectic. But it was much more draining than I expected. Like I got really beat. I probably shouldn't, but I do think I had just come off COVID. But that was before like people really knew what was going on.
Yeah.
But I do think that resulted in me being more tired at the time. But it was much more draining, much more. I remember right afterwards, I was like, man, I don't think I ever want to do this again. And then everyone told me, like, who makes movies are like, that's what everyone says after they finish a movie.
Yeah, if you don't quit right after you make a movie and say you're never going to do it again, then you haven't really.
I think if I were to go back,
then you've lied to yourself. It's not really a movie then.
Like if we were to go back and do that shoot again, I would bring 2 more crew members, like a dedicated sound person, because Mike was doing sound and like trying to
shoot as well.
Yeah, get everybody in the shot and like also run one of the cameras. So it was just like too much. Like another sound person, maybe another camera person would have been clutch, But we got it done. But it was just like, what would have made it easier on everybody?
Right.
Yeah, I remember it was a weird thing was when we were filming at the table it was hard to get out of the way because like where do you get out of the way?
Yeah, you're definitely in the background of some shots.
You're in a lot of shots.
I've noticed. Yeah.
It's just fine. You're there. Like
you're in the movie as well.
Yeah, right.
But you are just standing there in something.
Yeah, Aaron did a good job again of cutting because we'd shoot things that were happening. We had 3 cameras, but it's like you can't always get a very good angle on anything because things are just happening and there's people walking by and there's people interfering.
Yeah, and everything's so crammed.
It's just, it's just jammed. So I mean, we're thankfully he was able to kind of make everything work. And I think as a viewer you understand this is the context that you're watching a thing.
Like, and we've like talked about like some of these moments. Like if I had to cast this, like if we wrote a scene that takes place and had to cast this, like we'd never be able to make this movie. Like but having people stream by and all that like adds to the flavor of what it is. And it's reality and it's also like really cool.
One of the interviewers asked us if we like had staged the convention.
Yeah, I'm like
whoa.
I did not have that budget.
Just take credit for it.
I was like,
that would be
very impressive if we had like staged the entire convention.
Yeah. It would have been sounded better.
Yeah, and that's why we have problems with the legal releases too. But
there's a spot because I was filming Bill in the airport, and there's a spot where he's just kind of sitting in a chair. Sadly, I guess. I don't want to spoil anything, but like this little girl in this giant stack of balloons just like walks by, and I was like, man, if I wrote this scene, it was more perfect than that, So there's little moments that you catch when you're doing reality, I guess.
I mean, you just kind of film all the time, and then you take the moments that are
right
cool, speak to you or whatever. So, So what was I guess what was very different than what you expected?
Very different. I like I said, I didn't expect it to be draining, like because I've done I was on with some other movies and it was just a fun, not that this wasn't fun, but it did seem much more work than I expected it to be.
Yeah, it definitely.
Well, I think like I love actors, but I think like sometimes when you're acting in something like you don't see like all like the physical, because filming is like it's mentally
it was my first time on a different
you got a different perspective then.
And I felt like I had a lot more I was
gave you a lot of jobs.
And I had more like if I messed up I felt like it would mean more to maybe the movie not turning out well or something.
But if you just are doing a small job or whatever, and you're just like brought in for that one thing, it's like not as like when you're in charge of it and it's your project and you have to like be thinking about everything coming up and what you're doing at that moment. It's definitely like your brain is working overtime trying to get it done. Yeah.
People undervalue how much like exhaustion comes from mental.
That's a good word. It was a very exhausting experience. I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
We all know like, you get tired.
Like you said though, mental wasn't like I was physically like, I'm standing here, I'm so tired. It was
I mean, but 8 hours a day of like standing around is tiring too. But definitely just the mental, because I was saying this at the time to Sophia, I'm like, I never want to like make something where I have no control over anything. And this is like a movie where we literally have no control over anything. And we only have
nightmare scenario.
Yeah, it's the worst. It's the worst.
Yeah, well, we only had Michael and Bill for those 3 days.
It's like we had
everything we wanted to get and capture spontaneous moments and moments that we like kind of planned in our minds that would happen. So it was definitely
And we made the decision. We made the decision not to like interview those 2 guys directly. I don't know. And this is kind of a funny one too for anybody who's interested in the movie, because we're like, we want to tell the story, the true story. No, I don't know. that we want to tell the story kind of like from an outside perspective. And so we didn't like sit them down and have them talk to camera and say like, oh, this is what happened. This is what I did. We use like everybody else tells kind of their story, and you just get a way to look in on them. And that was a weird, it was a scary choice and a interesting choice. And I think it pays off in the movie, but it's, in a movie like this, normally I think you would have a lot of scenes where the main people kind of just are telling their perspective. Even when you watch reality TV, right? They interview they sit them down and interview them or something. And we didn't ever do that. We never were like, how do you feel about this situation? How do you feel? Like, we never wanted to have them just say it. And that makes it feel more like a narrative story to me than a kind of a presentation. I think that makes the film more interesting to watch.
Yeah.
Because you have to like kind of get into their perspective. You have to like look at them and say like, oh, why are they behaving this way? And there's a lot of nuance to how they behave and how they interact and such. And then, like a lot of the other people are talking more, directly to camera, telling the story. Mm-hmm. And AJ, who's kind of with them and has some insight. Yeah, he has some insight into what's going on with them. Aside. Yeah, we pulled him aside a lot to interview him. But yeah, I mean, this is, you make choices about the story.
We also found some archival footage of some of the actors that were in End Zone 2 at the time, talking about their experience with that. And, little bits that we were able to find. Right. Yeah. So Neal, when you watch the movie, and let's say, forget the first cuts, let's think about like as you get further. Not that you've seen the final.
Well,
you'll see it in London.
I think you've basically seen that in the final cut. Was there anything in it that like surprised you, like that you didn't know about that surprised you? Because you I'm sure you didn't see a shoot. You weren't.
No, yeah. The when you say, because I don't want to say like something really stands out to me, and don't mention the people we filmed in Charlotte, because I was there for that, so I kind of knew what to expect. But the all the stuff you got with the icons or the horror people, that stuff was really good. And I didn't know what to expect from that, but that's a big highlight of the film.
Okay.
Yeah. Everybody that you I think because of the trust that you built with the show, like, because they didn't know us necessarily, but they knew you and they had talked to you. So I think everyone's just so generous with their thoughts and their time.
Yeah, honestly, I don't want to put myself over, but that did make me feel proud that so many people were cool about wanting to help out a project that was involved.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. No, really definitely. You were completely instrumental to that. Like, there's no movie.
And now I don't have to pretend to be nice to people anymore.
That's over. So yeah, facade's done.
Exactly. It was worth it for that whole time.
Guys, I have to run, so I will.
Oh, all right.
I wish you guys all the best. I hope everything goes wonderfully.
You want to Flash Gordon?
Oh yeah, I gotta go watch some Flash Gordon with Maru. So just the talk of Brian Blessed, he's all excited.
Enjoy.
Yes, bye.
Sorry, we were talking about the
icons or
the icons.
Or subjects.
Right. The icons. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because getting them to be vulnerable. Same thing. It's like getting them to be vulnerable and believe in a project and not really know like kind of like what this whole thing is.
And how are we going to use their visage?
Yeah, are we going to make them look weird or something? Yeah.
No, I was actually surprised. I know we didn't get everybody, but I was surprised we got so many people, and some of the people I was surprised were all aboard, and
Yeah, they were really enthusiastic. Everybody who participated. Yeah. Some people said no. Some people weren't sure and just kind of didn't do it. And then but everybody who did it, and we were very happy with the people who were in the film, did it enthusiastically. Nobody was like, fine, I'll do it. Everybody was like 100% like, oh, this is cool. I'd love to talk about this. I'm excited to share my story about this and like, be part of this. So yeah, they were all really fantastic. And same as what Sophia said earlier, like we have so many, we didn't interview them for very long. We were only with people 30, 45 minutes for like, we're talking about a pretty narrow subject, but that 30, 45 minutes is cut down to a minute each or something in the movie, if even a minute, so there's a lot of stuff from the conversations with them that really, I think will emerge in the bonus material and the additional materials. So that'll be cool. But yeah, I guess, you didn't know. I mean, I know you helped us write the questions for them. Like we talked about that. So you knew kind of like where the conversation was going to go. But yeah, you had no idea like
yeah,
what.
Right. The questions, but you don't know, how they're going to answer.
Right. Right. Yeah. You had no idea what they were going to say or how it's going to be framed in the movie or anything like that. Yeah. I mean, we didn't know either. Really.
Well, it's the thing too, because I think we got most of our favorite lines that everybody said into the movie, but like we basically just handed the interviews off to Aaron and let him decide what to include and where, and where stuff fit in. And then once in a while we went back and we're like, oh, we really loved it when so-and-so said this, sneak that back in.
Or we'd see something missing from the story. And we're like, oh, didn't Adam talk about that? Right. Can we go look at Adam's interview and then maybe put some context back in to help shape, like, because when we're presenting something, if there's no context provided by anybody, sometimes it's confusing or, I mean, it's the history of End Zone is confusing.
It gets a little muddled. I mean, it is muddled. Yeah.
But we try to make it somewhat understandable.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's always hard to know, like, because we wrapped our heads around it and like, once you understand something and then you're presenting it to somebody else, like, is it still understandable to them? Because you have more context.
Right.
But there were a couple times with Aaron too, where we're like, no, you have it like backwards here. They're just like trying.
Yeah. He was. I mean, it's easy to get confused, so like which movie they're talking, because like sometimes they're talking about End Zone 2, sometimes they're talking about End Zone 1, sometimes. Yeah. And we're like, no, that's we had to figure it out.
Yeah, I'd be like, wait a second.
Speaking of which, how did you feel? Because you hadn't seen End Zone 2 before.
No, not until after we filmed.
Once
a Future Smash.
So how did you feel about the restoration of End Zone 2?
No, that was really that was great. I had never seen it before. Got the shirt on now. But I love the music really stands out. A lot of the performances and Smash himself.
Yeah. Kind of an iconic character that never, just never
yeah, I think
never
people
got
are
his
going to
due.
respond really well.
Never got his due.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Backwoods Bob.
Yeah, we know you love. I mean, that's definitely a classic horror trope character, right? I mean,
I've never really cosplayed before, but I thought maybe I'd cosplay at some point.
Yeah. Definitely. I feel like all those characters in like Friday the 13th movies, we talked about how Friday the 13th movies are very influenced by
yes, he's like the original Crazy Ralph, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Like you see it coming up over and over again in those Friday the 13th movies. You're like, oh yeah. Is Crazy Ralph in 3?
Yeah, when it's an eye.
Yeah, that's the guy. Yeah, I love that guy. Yeah. Sorry,
anytime someone pushes something into the screen, if it in a 3D film, I'm a fan.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's cool.
I love the seance scene.
That's an amazing scene.
To have a seance in a 70s movie.
That's another thing about you think End Zone 2's like straight slasher, but it's a weirder movie than you expect.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's true of a lot of those movies. It's good because people weren't making them like in a studio system or anything, right? So they don't really know the rules about making movies, and that's why, especially in like the 70s and 80s, you get a lot of people who made movies that are like really interesting and like I don't want to say off in a bad way, but they're like a little bit off what somebody would have done if they were trained or like if they had more experience making films. And so I think you get a really heartfelt. I mean, I think End Zone 2 is a really heartfelt movie. But you can see kind of like elements of it that are like a little bit strange or I mean, I guess a lot of 70s movies, even
it's just the way it was.
Yeah, low budget horror in general.
People are trying to be arty and or just were.
So,
or like the budget,
shows
in interesting ways or in interesting solutions,
right.
That kind of thing.
Right. So anyway, I'm excited to share this with people.
Yeah.
Was there anything else you were surprised by, or anything else you want to talk about with your experience, being part of the film?
You still talk.
No, still talk to us, yeah. So it couldn't have been that bad.
No, it was the whole thing was a cool experience. Kind of a weird thing is after you film some stuff, I saw you edit just a little bit of stuff at your when I was staying out with you guys for a little while, and that was a cool experience. And I tried to just watch and learn how to edit myself.
And are you gonna make more movies now?
Maybe, I don't know.
You haven't quit.
I'll be involved and stuff. I don't know if I'll make my own movie myself. It's like too much work, but
a lot of work.
I've quit filmmaking.
We quit every time.
I've done some stuff since then, which is very exciting.
Yeah. You're acting in something.
Which Michael got me involved in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I had a very minor role, and I saw the post about it, and I was like, oh, you should do this. But yeah, no, I was glad that worked out for you.
But honestly, it was a great experience, and you know, I know it was win-win. I helped you guys out with getting the connections and stuff, but it was also very cool to be involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, it'll be interesting again to see how people respond in England and
the flood of reviews
Like I'm so curious about the reviews.
Yeah, I am too. I a lot of stuff I post on Facebook is not to be taken really literally, but
I know,
like, you know, but I don't know how people will you know, well, I mean, everyone does have different tastes, and it's not, like you said, it's not Terrifier, it's not a straight like horror film for that audience. So, you know, I don't, although that kind of movie doesn't work for another audience. So,
but I think, you know, with something like Terrifier, you kind of know what you're getting.
That's
so
true.
Like, either you like it or you don't.
You go into once Future Smash.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure people will know what they're getting. We've gotten very, very small feedback from people. Like there's a couple people who are going to write reviews, and they've set up interviews with us. And the interviews and the way that they talked to us about it seemed like very enthusiastic. They're like, oh, this is really cool. That like, you know, really appreciate this. You know, one person said that they thought like, oh, the people at FrightFest are really gonna like love the experience of the you know both movies together, and like just seeing the whole thing and like learning all this kind of new stuff. So we've gotten some positive feedback, but you know, I'm sure that many of those reviews that are going to come out are going to be like, this is boring and terrible and I hate it and these people deserve to die. So, you know, probably not that mean. Those are more like the Letterboxd or IMDb reviews.
Like, as you know, because we started in music and I did like angry women music in the early 2000s. So like I got every kind of bad review of me personally, like 20 years ago now. So like I'm so used to just negative feedback from that stuff that like, you know, and like anything that people are going to say that's negative, unless they really just misunderstand the movie, which I think happened especially with like clickbait, where people were like expected like a scary movie and then it wasn't that, and then they were mad it wasn't what they wanted. I'm like, well, if you expected like something else, you might have been more appreciative of it. And like, but anything bad about the movie, like that they could say, like I already know, you know, like I've been working on this movie for like 3 years, like I know where the weak spots are, you know, always. So it's like there's nothing like that that's gonna hurt me, you know. Like we all did the best we could do given the circumstances and the access and the resources that we had. So so there's nothing that can really hurt me, I think, too much, you know. But like obviously I want people to love it, but like,
of course,
I think so. At least some people will enjoy it. I mean, that's all you.
I think like, you know, we all have like a specific sense of humor too that comes through, and like everything we do, whether we want it to or not. And I think like a British audience might appreciate some of our dry or surrealist humor that like works its way in, you know. So we'll see. But also that's like a thing that'll turn people off too. Like it's like, you know, too silly at times.
Yeah. What are you going to do? I know people are excited. I mean, you know, it seems like, because, you know, we've done a bunch of...
I was banned from Facebook during when the trailer and everything came out, which really sucked.
Oh my God.
The trailer's got great response. I was really surprised by that too, like the enthusiastic response to the
trailer. I cut the trailer, and I have to say,
we tried to get Aaron to cut it. He
didn't want to do it, but but that's fine.
He tried to get out of it.
He did a lot of work.
No, he's done too much already.
But
I like Aaron, by the way.
No, he's the best.
He's awesome.
Aaron Brocus.
Yeah, we're still. He still talks to us despite everything that we put him through. Also, so it's.
He's very supportive too.
No, he's great. He's great. We have a movie with him that we did with him called Sitting Duck that's playing festivals now.
Yeah.
And then we have a movie that finished the festival run. Maybe will be out soon called Half Cocked, and there's 2 short films, and so those are really fun. Sitting Duck stars Tuesday Night from Nightmare on Elm Street 4. And Michael King, who's a really fantastic guy as well.
And he has a bit role in Smash.
Yeah, he's a little bit part of Smash, as well. Aaron did a great job with that, but
we tried to coerce him to get out of it.
Doing the trailer.
But it was hard to decide, like, you know, it would be like 10 minutes long if we had to like regurgitate like what the whole movie's about and use all the talking heads to like tell people like what is it, you know. And so we just kind of like zoomed through that. We got like a voiceover artist to do the narration. And
I mean, 3 years into this, I should have the elevator pitch down, but I still like it's a hard movie to describe in a way that's compelling. But I'll tell you what, once if we have a minute to describe it to people, the response to this has been like with much more enthusiasm than anything we've ever done before. Like people are really excited about it. And the goal was with the trailer was like, how do we capture that response? Like I know people respond to certain things just from having the conversation, doing the basically the elevator pitch, not formally. I mean, just like with friends and telling them about it. But so we sat down, we started cutting the talking heads to try to tell the story, and it was just boring and slow, and it's hard to get the movement right. And eventually we just, we're like, let's just write a script, like a voiceover script, and hire a voiceover person to like tell the story, and then put clips in and make it fun and like make it entertaining. And so we, after many tries of cutting the trailer, that's where the route we went. And I was like, okay, I guess this is the best I can come up with. I don't know if people are going to like it or not. And I was really glad to see that people responded positively to it, that they did enjoy it, and that they were like, oh, I want to see this movie. And like that ultimately that's the goal.
Even when I was getting people involved, they were fans of End Zone 2 and they loved the idea of it. And like you said, unfortunately, we couldn't get everyone who wanted to be involved just because they were in different parts of the country and sometimes parts of the world. So.
Well, that got a lot more difficult post-COVID. Like we were expecting, like, oh, well, we'll go to another convention, get a hotel room, and just like send people up to like my studio, and like
we were planning that for Fright Mayor, like it was just like a month or two after that.
Because we're like, we'll have this whole movie wrapped up,
and then we would have had everybody in one place that lives everywhere. Like that was kind of like the goal of it. Instead we just ended up with like the LA people, which is fine. There's a lot of people in LA.
We got some variety, but the trailer like response was good, and it's helpful because we learn what are people responding to. How much of the funny stuff should we put in the trailer? How much of the serious stuff should we put in? Like, what is the stuff that's going to speak to people in this movie? Because it has a lot of different kinds of things in it. And we're kind of hoping people take that ride and they're like, oh, I like the funny things that happen or the funny things people say, but I also like the serious moments in it. I like the interesting like historical things in it. We're hoping the flow of it is sufficient that it'll entertain people. It'll keep them interested for the 84 minutes or whatever it is. We have so many cool people involved that I can't imagine they won't enjoy it. What's wrong?
I'm just reading their comment.
Okay. Chloe, the former lottery ticket girl, now the pharmacist, and she does not like horror films, but she so I sent her the trailer for Once and Future Smash. She said that she was impressed. She likes it, and I was looking forward to it because she told me she doesn't like horror movies; they're too scary. So I said, "Well,
it's like a documentary, so it's not
maybe not End Zone 2, but
End Zone 2 might be too much for her.
You can watch the doc.
I feel like End Zone 2 is surprisly tense at moments. For a movie from that era, it's not as goofy as you'd expect. It's goofy in spots, but not as goofy.
It has some.
And AJ and End Zone 2 is also a great villain.
Yeah. Great character. Yeah, absolutely.
We got Bill Wheaton here in the
Bill is amazing. We already mentioned him. Hopefully he heard the part where we gave him his first shout out, but he just chimed in and said he's listening, and we're really, like I said, we're thrilled to have the chance to work with him and spend time with him and get to do this with him, and we're really looking forward to getting together and being in the room to watch it. We're working on an LA screening. Right now it's just playing at FrightFest. That's the only thing that's been announced. But we've got a bunch of other festivals coming up later in the year and so on. We haven't yet announced our North American or US premiere, which we hope will get.
I was going to ask about, but I knew like you probably couldn't really say anything.
I don't even know.
We can't say anything about stuff that hasn't been announced yet. But we're working on locking that. We're having conversations about locking that.
But along those lines, though, let's say someone is interested. Where would they go to keep up to date? Like where this will go.
Great questions.
Well, I guess there's like the Facebook page. There's us.
All of our social media is probably the best place.
Yeah, I mean, we have a website too for our production company where I'll update like any screenings. But probably our social media is like where you're going to see it first.
Yeah.
So your personal ones or Once and Future Smash page, any of those you probably.
All those is fine. Launch Over is our production company.
We're both really bad about it.
Oh, and Without Your Head, I'm sure I'll be there too.
Right?
As long as I'm not banned from
posting it. But
try to be on my best behavior.
We're like just super excited to bring it out to the world and see what people think. And like, you never know. We always kind of say this, like, you do your best, you make the best, most interesting movie you can, and then like maybe people will enjoy it and maybe they won't, and you have to like accept whatever happens after that. So we're just at the beginning of that process of like learning, what is it that we made. You don't really know until you're in the room with them. And even, I mean, I don't think we're gonna really recut the movie, but like,
well, it got to the end of the editing process with Aaron too, where we're like, if we keep changing things, because like, it was getting down to like nitty gritty details, like, oh, I don't like that you held too long in the shot, or like, I don't like this, or, and like Michael makes fun of me. I start stripping out jokes that happen, I'm like, oh, get rid of this joke, get rid of that. And so it's like, at some point, I think we all collectively like had to stop ourselves and just be like, okay, let's just go with this cut. And it'll play FrightFest, and then like, play a few festivals, and then we can reassess at that point before we put it out for real. Like if things truly didn't work, like, but it just got to the point where we're so in it that we're like,
that's interesting. You said it, after a while, you're like, well, cut this joke and stuff. Because I was kind of going the other way, like you have an experience with stuff, you don't want to cut it. But then if you watch something over and over again, maybe it's like, well, I've heard this joke so many times, it's not funny. But that doesn't mean it wouldn't be funny for the first person when they see it for the first time.
Yeah, Aaron and I are much sillier than Sophia is. Yeah. Like, this is like the.
I'm pretty silly too.
I know. With Sophia.
Aaron and I are maybe a little closer in silliness than Sophia.
So I would just walk in the room and be like, no. Cut that. Get rid of that sound effect. Get rid of this. This is a serious documentary. So it definitely, I mean, you're choosing. And hopefully that pullback helped the edit overall.
Yeah.
Or I was just annoying.
No, I think compromising stuff. And then there's stuff where I'm like, no, you cannot cut this. Like there's.
Yeah, I lost battles too. I didn't win every battle.
This is getting back to the manipulating part. When you're editing or making it, it's like you make choices about how you present things, and like putting a sound effect in, changes the context. There's one joke that literally it's when the name of the person pops up, it makes it funny because they're saying something and it's incongruent with what their credit is, for example. And it wouldn't be funny at all. It's not a joke. Like what they're saying is not meant to be a joke, really. And it wouldn't be funny at all if the chyron was up at the top. But like the fact that they say it and then you're processing it and then the chyron pops up and it's like incongruent with that makes it funny. Right. And like Sophia's like, you can't do this thing, and I'm like, no,
it looks like a mistake.
No, it's good. So that kind of stuff where you're deciding like how do you manipulate the experience of the viewer, like how do you even when it's the same material, you're not changing the material itself, you're just kind of adjusting.
To go back when you asked me about the surprising watching it, and you said the final cut, but really kind of something I would know anyway, but seeing it, the progress, how much editing and adding sound change, putting the better sound in the music and stuff, how much that actually changes something was not necessarily surprising, but it was a cool experience.
And even like there was a lot of temp music in it right up into the end, and then we replaced a lot of that was bugging.
Because I remember I watched a few cuts that had not great. The dialogue was like probably off the camera sound or whatever. Then when you have the actual, it's so different.
I had to spend a lot of time cleaning up dialogue. That was my job, was to try to like scrape out the dialogue from the noise in the background there. It's rough in spots because you're like in the convention. No, nothing you can do. I think it's all watchable. I think everything is audible and it's okay. I think it all works. The only scene where we felt like the dialogue was a little hard to understand was the costume contest for the host, and so we just added subtitles. It sounds okay. It's not like it sounds terrible, but because it's on a PA.
Even us adding the subtitles, like we
had to debate about.
We debated like like little words, like does he say the or it was just like, even though we understood the context of what he was saying, like we were like, what exactly is he saying?
Yeah.
Now that we're subtitling it, like we're making that final decision on what he actually said.
Right. But otherwise, I think all the audio is like it's passable, and I think you understand that when you're.
I don't want people to think it's like a shit movie. Like the audio is fine.
It is weird because one of my notes, I think at one point I thought there should not necessarily over the dialogue, but there should have been which there ends up being, but there should have been a little more crowd ambiance to know that it is actually a festival full of people.
Right. Yeah, I think
So you need that too, because I think if it's completely clean, you kind of lose the idea that there's other people there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting part about the sound edit is because like I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, this person is talking. I take their lav mic channel and try to clean out everything. I try to get the cleanest, straightest thing. But then, like you say, then it's just like weird because this is a person talking in silence.
Right.
And then noise.
But it almost makes it seem like you did set this up. It's not really in a, it's
right. Yeah. And we didn't, I mean, really, I'll make an admission. AJ is the only person he said a few things that are in the movie that he would at the time he wasn't wearing a shirt. I won't spoil the story. And he didn't have his mic on him because of that, because it was attached to his shirt. And so we asked him to come in later. We just met up with him and just were like, oh look, we just need you to say these 3 lines again. Very short. That was the only thing we added in because I was like, there's nothing I can do. We could subtitle it, but I felt like it was weird. So that was the only sound replacement we did was that. But then things like the crowd, for example, like you're talking about, there were times where I was like, well, I have to use this mic. I can't use the actual crowd noise in this moment. So I'll take a little bit of other crowd noise. It's not really different, but it is not really what was happening at that moment. But that's the only way to get it to sound natural in that space. But we didn't manipulate the sound too much otherwise. It's mostly just like trying
music and
we put music,
manipulate your
on it. Yeah. Right. But otherwise I'm saying, we didn't, it's not like we re-recorded sound. We didn't ADR, any of it really. I mean, we didn't replace any dialogue except for it was like 3 sentences that AJ said that were like, can I sit down and stuff like that. It wasn't even like emotional big moments, but it was like, it felt dumb. I mean, I could have, like I said, put subtitles, but it felt dumb to be like, the whole movie works, the sound is fine. And then suddenly we have these 3 sentences that AJ says that we have to like put subtitles on. So I was like, let's just get him and do it. He's nearby and we're friendly with him now from doing the movie.
Aww.
Yeah. That's Blanche for anybody who doesn't know.
Liesl Hansen here in the chat.
Hi, Liesl. Liesl's in the Once and Future Smash.
Liesl makes an appearance in the Once and Future Smash. Liesl's awesome. Definitely a fantastic actor and person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she's she directed a great short not too long ago. And she's very good at rolling down the hills.
She's also very good.
Selling insurance.
All true. So that's kind of, it's been an interesting, I mean, I guess, you really got insight into it because you hadn't experienced the post process. But like I was saying, when we have other producers or other, actors especially, I never want to show them a rough cut or like an assembly cut or something because they're not going to have it's going to freak them out. And rightfully so, honestly, so, because you're like, this sucks.
Yeah, I think even if you know that, it's still just hard.
Yeah, it freaks us out, but we're like, okay.
I've seen a few before, like interviews, someone will send me one, because they want me to see it before an interview. And even if I know that going in, it's still, in my mind's like, oh, this isn't right. Because, it'll be like, not that this movie has people shooting guns, but it'll be like gunshots and there's no sound. Or it's like, oh, I don't know about this. But
very hard to look past. Yeah.
We had to start sending the festivals before it was finished. I mean, we had did it go out with like no sound mix? I think it went out with no. I did a really rough sound mix. I did a sound mix. I did a feature film length sound mix in 16 hours. I stayed up overnight to do a feature length sound mix to get it to the first festival we sent to. So it was like not in good shape.
Like even if you're mine, it's going to be fixed, but you still don't know how, if it's going to be.
How much? Yeah.
You're right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I've seen movies that have been released that don't have,
Yeah, sure. But now I think everything is in pretty good shape, and I mean we'll probably tweak it as we go.
I'm sure it'll go through another edit before its final form.
But not like it won't be
probably not this festival season. I think like what we're showing, since we already paid for the DCP, that's gonna be what goes out to all the fests.
We already paid $400 to make the DCP.
Yeah, so that's what you get. But but before there's like a big release, there might be another. Or maybe not. Maybe we'll just accept everything.
Or maybe it'll work fine. Maybe it'll work great.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we can't judge until it happens.
It's going to premiere August 29th at FrightFest. That's very exciting. I think there's still like, I think like half the place is sold out though, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
They kind of indicated. I mean, we were asking for comp tickets to some of the screenings, and they were like the tickets in those theaters, because we're in like one of the relatively smaller theaters, and they were like, we can't comp tickets to those because it's like the demand is too high. So I feel like it'll be probably sold out.
Last time I was there, I saw some movies in that theater.
Yeah.
And it's actually the other one, there's a cool feel to it because it's an older theater and it's like down, it's underground, and there's just something cool about that, you know, to watch.
Yeah. Well, when we had they first called us up, the FrightFest guys, they called us up, and they were like, you know, we're thinking, you know, are you cool with doing like in one of the smaller rooms, not trying to do, and we're like, yeah, because
I don't think we're gonna sell 600 tickets.
Yeah, we don't. This is a small film. It's a niche film, and we would rather it's like it's a full sold out screening that we feel good about with an audience, and that people can't get in.
You get 100 people into a 600.
Yeah, it looks bad. Yeah, it looks bad.
Because then I do. People know I do a lot of wrestling interviews. The same way with the wrestling show. If you have you know 1,000 people in a 1,000-seat place, it's a great feel. If you have 1,000 people in a 30,000 seat, you know, it's not a
good. And like honestly, if people get shut out, great.
Yeah.
Like if it's sold out and people can't see it, that's great, because then they'll want to see it. They'll be like, oh, I tried to go to that movie, couldn't go. You know, now I'm excited to check it out when it comes around. That's fine. I mean, it's not. It's we'd rather have that, like, you know, that success with it than try to like, oh God, we're in like 1,000-person room or something, and like trying to get all those people to come.
Yeah, I saw Wolfman Got Nards, I think, in that theater.
Oh yeah, cool. I like that. Fun doc. Yeah, those guys are awesome too. Yeah,
they're really cool.
Yeah. No, I mean, lots of great films play there, so it's not like you know, there's nothing to be ashamed of in the smaller theater or anything like that. We're very proud of that screening and very happy to be part of that. And yeah, it'll be cool. And I see Bill saying he's going to be at the American premiere. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, this will be a great time, obviously, because it's premiere, but there will be something special also in the future when we can see with a lot of the people involved.
And to be honest, not to diminish the UK experience, but like when we do our LA screening, for example, we're going to set up a whole like red carpet, big thing, because this is where most of the people involved are. So it'll be more, the one here will be more of an event than the FrightFest one is part of a fest. It's part of a great thing.
Yeah.
And it'll be cool. But I think for the people who are involved in the film, it'll be more of a celebration when we do it here. Like that'll be a better experience for them to kind of join in on that. So
and you do have some merch too, that you can get, I believe, on your Amazon.
Yeah.
Where do we have that?
It's on Amazon and Redbubble, I think, right? Amazon and Redbubble. Yeah. I thought they were. Oh yeah, maybe they're not. But yeah, so we have a couple of End Zone 2 shirts.
Yeah.
We haven't made a Once in Future Smash shirt. We should. We actually just got stickers ordered for FrightFest, so exclusive to FrightFest. Just
we don't even came out good.
Yeah, we drop shipped them to FrightFest. So
and I got a photo like from the person that delivered it to the theater, and it's like left on the counter of the movie theater, and it's like a very blurry photo. So like I think they made it. Hopefully somebody found it on the counter. 700 Once in Future stickers.
Because they give out like goodie bags for attendees, for guests like who have badges.
Yeah.
And so we don't even know what the sticker. I mean, we know what the stickers look like. We designed them.
We did like kind of a weird thing with the layers, so I'm hoping it printed well.
Yeah. And I don't even know if we're gonna get copies of the stickers because they're all going.
I might find them in the trash.
If somebody discards one, we'll pick it up.
Yeah. Lisa asked if there was info yet where the U.S. premiere will be, but
no info yet. No.
Lisa, you can break into our apartment while we're at FrightFest.
No. We'll announce the U.S. premiere as soon as we are able to. So we're not keeping it secret. We're in the next couple of weeks, I think.
And Bob says East Coast. Yeah, I think they'll be different. You know,
they're definitely there's some East Coast screenings. I mean, we know we have a few festivals that we know are happening, but those are like way down the road. But the sooner ones are still working on, and everybody the fall like horror festival season is crazy, and nothing's really decided until like the last minute. So it's a little bit
I'm very
nerve-wracking.
I'm like a freelancer, so like finding out last minute that I have to book a flight somewhere and cancel gigs is not fun, but we'll see.
Make it work. And Neal, are you going to travel to as many of these as you can as well?
I am. I regret not going to more Umbilicus Desidero screenings, and that was a 4-minute short, but I had a very good experience. This is a much bigger thing, so yes, I'm going to try to make as many as possible.
Cool. Yeah. And I think we'll have nice. I mean, a lot of the festivals do nice Q&As and stuff, and so obviously we'll bring anybody who's part of the movies who can please come join us with those, and that'll be fun. I mean, you've heard me talking for 2 hours already today of nonsense. I don't need to talk as much at the Q&A, so you can shut me up.
Yeah.
I
might cosplay as one of my favorite characters at some of them.
Nice. I keep thinking about wearing getting a Smash Mouth uniform and a helmet.
No, that would be sweet.
Yeah, I'm deciding.
We'll hire somebody to do that.
I don't want to spoil things, maybe this is too much to say, but we're definitely thinking about doing some if we do like an LA screening, we're definitely thinking about doing some pose opportunities with
cool. Yeah.
With Smash,
I'll start working on because I was thinking doing the Backwoods Bob cosplay, so I'll start working on that. Get some stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, I was gonna do a cardboard cutout of Smash Mouth, but maybe we should also do
I like that.
Yeah. So anyway, those are the.
Maybe everybody should have a.
We're gonna have
only like 7 or 8 characters in that.
Yeah, we'll just make cardboard cutouts. Yeah. That'll be very awkward. Very awkward. But yeah, no, we're very excited about the movie. We're very excited that after. we really thought this would be like done in summer of 2020.
That is like the thing. That was the plan. Was like this would be a quick movie for us to make because we shoot the convention and we shoot.
We're
done.
I remember this.
Done in 6 months or something, and instead it's been years. But in some ways, like it gave us time to collect a lot of footage and collect a lot of B-roll and stuff that might not have been in that version of the movie that we were planning. I don't know. Does that make it better? Who knows? But it makes it different. Certainly a different movie than what would have come out if we did it all in that year. I think the only thing we really lost from the time was just getting access to certain people, but we got plenty of people. Like there are plenty of people, and they're all great. And in fact, like we were talking about shooting more. There were a couple of other people we were talking about doing interviews with that would involve travel and such. And at the end, we were like, the movie is already full. It's like already jammed. Like we don't need more people. It'd be cool to have them involved, but like the story's already told. The movie's already jammed. Yeah, sometimes we had to cut we're like, off. We're like, do we need, we just have to be shoehorning additional cool people in just because we like them and want them. So it didn't feel like the movie was compromised, like the story of the movie or anything was compromised by.
That's something I thought about too, actually watching, because there was a lot of people that we a lot of people didn't want to do it, but a lot of people did, but we just weren't able to get them. But then when I was watching it and all the people we did get, I was like, I don't know, like obviously it'd been cool to see them, but I don't know, like you said, there's a limit to how many times.
Otherwise it's just a bunch of talking heads.
Or you cut them down to so much that they're really only in it for a few seconds. So.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing with some of the travel ones. I'm like, well, we're gonna get like 2 lines that we're gonna use, and it's gonna cost like $2,000. So I don't know if I can deal with doing that, going through that effort,
Yeah.
It was more for our vanity of like, oh, this is a cool person. I'd love to have them involved in our project.
Like if they showed up at our house, like Marc Sheffler did, and they get in the movie.
He was really great. I mean, everybody was great, but he was just really nice.
I like Marc a lot. He's a good guy.
So we did have a few people come to our house. We did some in like a little studio space. We did kind of went everywhere. We went to some people's houses. So we like went to Bob Elmore's house and stuff. Fun. It
was all decorated with seashells.
Bob's another guy I've liked for a long time. So.
Yeah, he was very sweet as well. Yeah. Everybody, like literally I know it sounds like cliche to even say this, but literally every single person who was part of the interview, like the talking head stuff, was fantastic. Like no, not one was even shy of being enthusiastic and kind and like helpful and just willing to really pitch in to kind of like whatever we needed to make it work, and like really concerned about like making sure that they gave us everything that we needed for the movie. So I really couldn't have asked for a better experience with those people. We were nervous a little bit, about it. We're like, these people might hate us and storm out or something. I mean, whatever. But no, I mean, everybody was just fantastic.
I heard back from Victor earlier today. Actually, Victor, I sent him the news. I didn't, because everyone else I can interact with on Facebook. He's on Facebook, and so I sent him all the stuff, and he was excited and wished us all luck.
Oh, very good.
So sweet. He was very nice when I went to meet him. So especially like I flew to San Francisco, did his interview, got dinner with a friend, and flew home. It was like such a day, it's hectic.
But we really wanted him to be part of it. It's such an important part of the story. I mean, Friday 13th is an important part of the history.
And he has some great moments in the film too. So
he's very funny.
He's funny guy.
His character.
He's funny.
So very cool. So anything else we need to say that's important? Did we forget anything?
No,
last chance for questions.
Hello to Trista, who could not make it here. I believe she's working on something. So
Trista's in the Once and Future Smash as well.
Yeah.
Trista appears in the Once and Future Smash as well. So it's cool. We there's a lot of people. It actually is the biggest cast.
50 people or something in it.
99.
Is it 99?
Yeah. I think it's
with all the convention people, like all the people that were there.
There are 100 credited people.
Cast of dozens, of hundreds.
Hundreds, yeah.
Yeah, well, there are a lot
of 100.
Yeah, there.
Cast of many.
I think there were hundreds at the costume contest, so they're all in the movie, sort of.
I think that's the one scene from the convention I wasn't at when.
Oh, you weren't even there?
I can't remember why, but I wasn't at that.
It's such a memorable.
Oh my god, it was crazy. Yeah.
I remember everyone was telling me what happened. I forget why I wasn't there, but I wasn't.
Got intense.
It got intense, and the audience kind of turned on the host over some things that we were involved with. So it definitely became like a very
which is not all told in the movie, but like part of it.
No, but yeah, like some of the audience got really mad at the host for how he treated AJ, who was in the costume contest, and so yeah, it got very interesting. So. Yeah, luckily he was in an Elvis cosplay, so he could just rip that off.
That guy deserves it. I know him.
He's probably a good guy.
But yeah, that's I remember that you weren't there.
He is a good guy.
Yeah, but no, it's great. It was really really fun, and I think
the dogs are walking around.
We probably gotta take them out. But yeah, I think people are gonna dig it. I'm really excited. I'm especially excited for Bill and Michael to see it and get I'm kind of we've been holding it back from anybody involved in the movie because we want them to experience it, like in we're not trying to set ambush them or anything, but we want them to experience it in the loving arms of the audience, and ready.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to appreciate it, and it will be and make it a very special experience.
Exactly. So that's kind of our goal with it. So really very few people have seen it. It's like nobody involved. Honestly, nobody involved in the movie has seen it except for us and Aaron. Obviously, has seen it since he cut it, but
that's pretty much it.
I don't think
you even let him see it. He was editing.
We told he had to turn his eyes away.
Cutting the audio only.
It would have been awkward for him not to see it as the editor, but no, that would be too much.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys again.
Yeah, just a week away or something.
Yeah, my flight is not as long. My flight's pretty much the same as if I flew out to LA.
Yeah.
You're lucky.
I go through customs.
Yeah, you're lucky.
I know. Yeah, that's one bad thing about living in LA is like getting anywhere. It's far.
Yeah. That's the only bad thing about it. It's all perfect. Otherwise,
except for when you need to fly to London. That's the only.
Flying to London is the only bad thing. It's the only,
too far.
Yeah.
Well, okay, like because the airlines are such shit right now. Like I was like, I have to have a direct flight. So 11 hours.
Yeah, you don't want
off. That's a lot. Yeah, because I think last time we flew, maybe we did go to Europe though. I'm not even sure it stopped in the US. When we flew to Manchester
we flew to London
for Starburst. Yeah, okay. So it was the same. Yeah. It's not like they stop you in Boston and let you walk around and then get back. Yeah.
No, we switched to London to go to Manchester, just a little hop.
It's gonna be long.
Yeah. It'll be worth it.
Yeah.
And I asked about food because I like food on Facebook. So if anyone knows good vegan stuff in the area, send it over to Sophia.
Yeah, you can definitely kidnap me if you have vegan food. So that's just, it's just the way to lure me in.
In London.
In London and anywhere else.
But yeah, no, I'm excited to travel the US too with it. And we're gonna try to go to every, we may not both be able to go just because
of our
money and dogs, but we're going to try to at least have one of us go to every screening of it, and hoping that you can go or some of the other people involved can attend some of those things, because it'll be fun. Again, I think it'd be fun to share with people. So
I say there's certain screenings of films that I regret. Like Blood of the Tributes played in Romania at a vampire festival, and it did it happen right when we were moving to LA? It was we were trying to move to LA, and it was just
it just got complicated. Yeah.
We looked at how to travel to Romania, and we're just this is too insane. But now I really regret that we didn't go to that screen. And there's certain screenings that have happened with our films. I'm man, I really wish I went to that.
Yeah. And then you look back and you're like, oh, what would have been? I wouldn't miss that few $100 or $1,000 right now.
Yeah.
But at the time, but you don't look at it that way.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's we kind of accepted this year. We're let's just just not look at the debt. Don't look at the debt we're accruing to go to all these festivals. It's just all getting credit carded. Yeah, it's like, but that's part of the job with this. And we're like, we hope. We're hoping that playing some of these fests. I mean, FrightFest is a prestigious fest, and it's sponsored by Arrow, and Shudder as a screen there, and other those are the kind of places like that we'd love to talk to about ultimately releasing the movie. That's kind of like it's like that niche horror fandom audience, like the boutique fandom audience. And so we're hoping that kind of like being part of these festivals and these things will give us opportunities to talk to some of those people about where the film will live in the end. That's way far in the distance, so we don't.
That's why I didn't bring it up, but
no, that's fine. I'm just listening.
The main reason you do. I mean, obviously you want to watch with people and everything, but that's also one of the big things about doing the festivals is get.
Yeah. Well, definitely. Even at this low of a budget, it's still like independent film, so it's sitting on credit cards, like
we have a lot of debt associated with the film. So.
Yeah, we have an Excel spreadsheet of everything we spent making this film.
And I mean, COVID really changed and messed it up.
To us, it's a lot of money. To like a real, to fucking Paramount, it's nothing. Or whatever, Warner Brothers, they just shelve a $90 million movie. But yeah, so we wanted to go somewhere where we can also at least make back the budget and make another.
And hopefully, pay all you guys a little more. Like get you paid and get the actors their residuals and all that kind of stuff. So
no, that'd be
that'd be a dream. I don't know. We'll see.
We've been burned enough by distribution over our other course of our other features that we also know the salty reality of that not being the case.
Yes.
Well, now you have experience.
Yeah. Well, every time we make a movie, we're like, this one will make its budget back.
Bill's asking if he was at the costume contest, and he definitely
was.
Maybe he's asking if he actually appears in the thing. He definitely does. He's an important part of that.
There's like an important emotional moment with Bill and with AJ.
Yeah. I mean, I guess he doesn't know what ended up in the movie and what didn't.
I think I might have been with Michael somewhere during.
Yeah, you might have been. Yeah, Michael was not there. Yeah, it was just Bill and AJ, which is ironic because Michael's the one who forced AJ to go to the thing, right? But anyway. Yeah. That's the story of the movie. You'll learn more about all these relationships.
I love Michael, by the way, but he is a handful to.
He is. He's definitely.
But
I don't think he would disagree.
And I love Bill.
He would call himself a handful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He knows.
There's a softie under that crusty layer.
Yeah. No, they're both good guys, and
we got to work with Michael again recently.
We did a movie. We did do a movie with Michael again, and a short film. And of course, we'd love to do something with Bill again too. He lives across the country, so it's a little trickier, but doesn't mean it won't happen. We'll try to make it happen someday.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Well, I'm looking forward to watching the movie with everybody and future screenings. And this was very fun to talk with you guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. I know it's kind of funny to interview us about a movie that you're involved in, but
and that we can't
tell you too much about
everything about.
you already know about it.
Right, but the idea is for other people to know too.
Yeah,
that's right.
But we will actually do a follow-up down the road too with us.
With more of the cast.
Yeah, we'll bring those guys on. I know. Yeah, we would just kind of want to do this one just us, but then we'll definitely bring those other guys on because I'd love to hear them. Love to hear what after they've seen it. Yeah, I'd love to hear.
Then they can yell at us.
Love to hear their experience. No, it'd be really fun to hear what they feel.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Sophia. Thank you, Michael. I'll see you both very soon. And thank everyone for watching.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And great comments here in the chat by everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for who is commenting and being part of this. It was great.
Yeah. And say hello to Blanche and Rose. And
they're going to go to the park. They're going to get their walkies.
All right. I'm going to go for my walk, too.
Yeah.
There you go.
Your walkie.
That's what I say to myself. It's time for my walkie.
Yep.
Right. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.